Running. Yep.
It's running?
Yep.
Running?
Running.
All right. Yeah, give me the scripture, seek the old paths. Yeah. You got Romans 12 and 2. Right. First, when I say Kal Halal, Yahweh,
Ba'ashem, Yahushai, B'Shem HaKadosh.
and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Those are the men that taught us this truth, man, set up in the spirit. Shalom and honors to all the other Archeum, you know, and elders out there that's teaching this word in sincerity and in truth, man, because fellow laborers and all that. And shalom to you brothers and sisters that's listening and learning and supporting the ministry, man. Yeah, man, as you can see, it's nothing new. You got guys, upstarts, coming up in this thing, claiming to be men of the Lord, and they're really corrupting the spirit, corrupting the truth, because they're mingling the truth, which should be a pure spirit, in with the corrupted ideologies and the concepts of the world. All right, they're coming into this truth and they're inputting their own emotions, the things of the world into this truth, and you really can't do that. All right, when you come into this truth and you come into this ministry, your job is to conform to the spirit, and then you go out there and teach accordingly. Now the world is going to find it hard to accept that and digest that, but that's just how it's going to be. Now, so if you grow up among the heathen, you're obviously going to grow up with heathenistic ways. You're going to grow up with a heathenistic sense of morality of what you think is right or wrong, or what you think is normal and what you think is not normal. So obviously, if you encounter something which is different, there's ultimately 9 times out of 10 going to be a negative reaction to that. But you have to overcome that in the spirit, man. When you come into this truth, you have to overcome that in the spirit. Not try and change the truth to be comfortable with your worldly attitudes and your worldly being, man. And we see that Adam Abbott, and they're not the only ones. A few of these camps that call themselves Israelites, they come up against Great Millstone for teaching the people the old paths. And it's like, how can you do that? You want to be a Hebrew Israelite, and you claim you're a Hebrew Israelite, right? Then why do you have a problem with the ancient Hebrew Israelite culture? It makes no sense. So we're going to discuss that today, you know, and if any of you are having these feelings, you're not alone. There's nothing wrong with having these adverse feelings, because we are in the flesh. But you need to overcome the flesh with the spirit. You can't allow the flesh to govern you, man, because what does the scripture say? The carnal mind, in fact, we could get that as well. The carnal mind is enmity with the Most High. There's things you're gonna hear that at first is uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to hear, because it's taking you out of your comfort zone. That's the flesh. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's gonna be like that. Hell, there's certain things that's in the truth that you might not necessarily do, and it might be within your perusal to choose not to do that, because certain laws are things that you can do and not necessarily things that you have to do. So that's up to you, but you then can't put your emotionality on another man, and we're going to explain that. Let's get that up, Baba Kashan.
Yeah, it's Romans 8. Let me go up a little bit. Start from verse 5. It says, "For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the spirit, the things of the spirit."
The spirit is what? This truth, this word. All right? You know.
So for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace.
To have your mind in harmony with the word of the Most High is life. When you now come outside of that harmony, that's death.
Verse 7, "Because the carnal mind is enmity against God, For it is not subject to the law of God, neither
Right.
indeed can be.
The carnal mind is not subject to the law of God. The carnal mind is subject to, you know, those feelings, and your feelings can literally be based upon, you know, external stimuli or something that you've been taught or been nurtured or cultivated to be. If you're from a particular culture, certain things ain't gonna feel right to you, as opposed to someone who's from another culture, it feels right to them because they're from that culture. That does, how you feel about it ultimately does not denote whether it's right or wrong. What denotes or determines right or wrong is the spirit, not how you feel or how something makes you feel.
And that's why it says, you know, you're not subject to the law. You're not making yourself subject to the law. You're not trying to get along with what the law is saying. You're against it. You know, that's what's on show right now. You don't agree with the law that the Most High set up. You know. So they that are in the flesh cannot please God.
Right. If you're in the flesh, if you're controlled by your emotions and what you feel, then you can't please the Most High, because you're gonna go with your emotions. When soon as something makes you feel uncomfortable for whatever reason, you're not gonna do it. You're gonna do what's wrong. And I always give the example, real quick. Get me on Deuteronomy, sorry, not Deuteronomy. Exodus, the 20th chapter, and the law on adultery. Please, Baba Kachar. Because adultery is the prime example of the flesh, of the mind, what you're comfortable with. All right? Exodus 20.
It's the book of this is the book of Exodus 20 and 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Right. So what's adultery? Adultery is when you lay down with another man's wife. Okay, that's what adultery is according to the Spirit, according to the words of the Most High. Scripture, you shall not do that. All right, but let me ask you a question. This: can another man's wife be attractive? How do you know she's attractive? Your eyes, right? Your eyes, the flesh. Yeah. Another man's wife can be attractive. Can another man's wife be sexually attractive? Yes. Let me ask you another question. If you have sex with another man's wife, will it feel good? Huh? Of course it feels good. If it didn't feel good, man wouldn't do it. Oh, Rakar, you're going off. I'm just telling you the truth. It gonna feel sweet, right? Because at the end of the day, if you look at it objectively from the carnal flesh, your flesh doesn't know whether this woman, it doesn't differentiate between a woman who's married and a woman who's not married.
The flesh don't care about that.
The flesh doesn't care about that. The flesh cares about the feelings and the external stimuli. And then if you allow yourself to be given onto that, to be seduced by those feelings, and you buy into them, you give in to those carnal feelings, and you're gonna do it, and it's gonna feel good. But you know what's not gonna feel good? When you get hit with that rock, you get me? Right? But it's gonna feel good. But the Spirit is what's supposed to tell you, nah, that's wrong. The Spirit is what's gonna tell you that's wrong. There's a saying, how could it be wrong if it feels so right? How could it be wrong if it feels so right? I've seen God, I've had conversations with dudes, and you can see they feel good start committing that adultery. I've had a man tell me about, yeah, he's dealing with a woman, the woman's in bed next to a man, and he'll messenger good morning, and he feels good. He's getting that attention. I'm in love, and it must be right. Yeah, it feels good, but it's wrong.
It feels right because you can get away with it, or while you're getting away with it. But when judgment comes, it ain't funny. It ain't good. It don't feel good.
Feel good?
Nah, it's gonna feel bad, right?
Yeah, but if it felt bad in the flesh,
you
then you wouldn't have done it.
Can I read this quickly?
Yeah, go on.
It's Romans 7 verse 23. But I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin which is in my members, in the flesh.
Flesh, man.
And that's why it's a constant battle between the flesh and the spirit, man. You know, because in the spirit you want to do what's right,
Like
but you're fighting your flesh to keep yourself from doing wickedness.
Like you covet things that look good, right? The eye is covetous. Then you want to possess it because you're gonna feel good if you possess that. Oh, it's gonna make me feel good to possess that. That's why you do it. It's the feelings in your flesh. But is it right to steal? No, it's not. You gotta obey the spirit and deny the flesh. And that's what this thing is all about. But a lot of guys don't understand that, man. So they find themselves trying to twist the spirit to fit in with their lust. It tells you that in the book of Jude. Sensual, led forth by your emotions and your lust. And that's not what this truth is all about, man. It's not about that at all.
Can I read this as well?
Someone make you angry and you want to hurt them. But what they've done might not be worthy of death. But when you're doing it, you don't care. You could go any flipping jailhouse and you're gonna get men sitting in that jailhouse, right? That have killed men over the least of things, over the least of arguments, and at that moment they felt the anger, the wrath, and they murked the man off. And guess what?
They wanted to feel appeased.
Exactly, it's satisfying. When you know you're angry. It is a form of satisfaction in the flesh that comes from committing that act, and it feels so right, man.
It was a mistake.
But it's not right, man. In the spirit, you should have controlled your flesh. This is what it's all about. And then you justify it because of how you felt, which is what women do all the time. But how you feel isn't a justification. Your flesh isn't a justification. The spirit decides what's just and what's unjust, man. Okay?
The book of Ephesians 4:22, that ye put off concerning the former conversation the old man which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust.
Right, the old man, because you can follow after the way of sin and it can feel right. And that's how it is in this world. It can feel like it's the right thing to do, to be going around and taking other man's gal and popping other man's gal behind their back. I'm just using that as an example. It could be feel good to cook up the pork. You know? Oh, every Friday we go down to whatsoever restaurant and we eat a whole pork and have a good time. And you didn't feel like there was nothing wrong with that, because that's what you've always done, right? You know? There's a lot of things you could do and it feels right, it feels good. It's part of your culture. It's part of what you know, the normal for you. You do it without blinking an eye. But when you come into this truth and you find out it's wrong, now you need to rewire yourself. You need to rewire yourself according to the spirit, man. That's wrong. No, that's wrong. Yeah? You have to reject the pork. I know, and then after a while, through the spirit, it becomes detestful for you. Whereas before, it was, you know what I mean, you love it off. You find that once you reject that temptation and you meditate in the spirit and you accept and humble yourself to the fact that it's wrong and you shouldn't do it, after a while, you feel sick thinking about it, man. You look at it and you're like, that's disgusting, because you're reprogrammed to that.
And that's when you realize, man, it was just demons on you, man. It was just demons on you, making you want that. You didn't need that.
Nah.
You know? Especially when you know it was wrong. You know, you try to stay away from that. You know?
But at first, when someone tells you, you're gonna be like, oh, what's wrong with that? Because it's definitely gonna be wrong for you. But it goes back to, we gotta be obedient.
And this is where knowledge comes into play, man. Because you don't know. You're ignorant, right? You're ignorant. But when you're made to come to understand these things, man, you can't be ignorant no more. Like, once you find that, that's why it's better to have not known the truth, man, than to have known it and then go back into wickedness. Roughly paraphrasing, you know, essentially, right? because you are no longer ignorant. You knew what was right and what was wrong, and you decided to do what was wrong anyway.
And that's what a lot of you guys are guilty of, man. Because you can't say that someone isn't logically, as a man, breaking it down to you. We're logically, Great Millstone, all these concepts that you give us flack for, the so-called grape doctrine, the age of
Consent.
not consent, but yeah, same kind of thing, age of consent. What else they give us hell for? The whole prostitution thing, which is just absolute bullshit, but we could talk about it. The whole prostitution thing, which just needs to be discussed in an adult manner and put into proper perspective and balance. But guys don't want to do that. They want to fly off the handle and sensationalize it. And you'll find that lately I've been listening to a lot of these debates on TikTok where these people are debating, and you always find once emotions get involved, you can't really no one can really come to a proper conclusion to anything, because it always just ends up being
Yeah.
To really get to the bottom of something, you got to calm down your emotions so that all the informations and all the perspectives can be seen, so you can get to the bottom of a thing. But if you get triggered, the minute someone gets triggered in a debate, it's over, because they ain't trying to
Not
hear
coming back.
nothing,
They ain't
and the
not
man's
coming back.
shouting and talking over this person and that person, and it becomes rah 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 rah. That's why it's good sometimes that we're not debating these people face to face, so you can sit down and for 45 minutes lay out your case in a calm and diligent and prudent manner. And we have done that, and we're going to do some of that today. Bring it out in a calm and prudent manner so you can fully understand the perspective that we're coming from in the scriptures, and not from that emotional sensationalized angle. Oh, your German's a rapist, you know, that pedophiles. Yo, calm down. They're spending all their money on prostitutes, bro.
Oh, really? You got proof of that?
Calm yourself down and let's just deal with what's in the scriptures and what's in the history. So you got that. What other things they've been talking about lately? Oh, the concubines. We're going to get into that if we could touch on that. Concubines, multiple wives. We can deal with all those things, man, and put them into proper perspective according to the scripture, without all the bullshit.
Like there's not more important things going on right now in the world, you know? That's what you want to focus on.
Well, we could talk about it,
Oh, yeah.
but it doesn't need to. That stuff can be dealt with. It's not rocket science. The only reason why it's a problem is your carnality. That's why we're having such a backward and forward discourse about it, because it's really all those topics I spoke about should take you like an hour of discourse maximum to get to a bottom of it and say, okay, this is what it is, and we're moving on. But you guys are so emotional, you can't accept anything because you're westernized, man. But you want to be Hebrews.
Can I get this?
Go on up.
It's just a quick one. Sirach chapter 3 verse 24 says, "For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion have overthrown their judgment."
Vain opinions, man. And that's the way of the world. The world is filled with vain opinions. Everyone wants to establish their opinion as being the truth, but it's not the case. And that's why the world is filled with what I call noise. It's noise, man. Everyone's got an opinion on certain things which really are not opinionated positions. It's just what the truth is. That's why you got all this diverse ways of being in the earth, and this person's debating this, that, and the other. And it's like the Bible really cuts out a lot of that noise. And just the Bible cuts out a lot of that noise so that you can have a more harmonious symphony, man. Go on up.
Ephesians 4 and 23. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind.
Renewed in the spirit of your mind. And that's what I spoke about earlier. You come into this truth, and of course certain things you're not going to just jump to it like, oh, that's great. Listen, we're men, we're also in the flesh. Certain things I heard the apostles are saying, yeah, you have to digest it. Even certain things may sound because sometimes as men we speak in hyperbolic, is that the right word? Hyperbolic. What's the word, man? I'm searching for the word. Exaggerate. Sometimes we speak in exaggerated terms. Men speak like that sometimes, yeah? But you have to understand the nuance and calm yourself down.
Underline.
Like for I'll give you an example, man. Like the apostle, one of the apostles might say, man, fuck your woman and fuck your kids, yeah? And guys would take that. Now, the context of the conversation was regarding doing this work and putting this work first, yeah? So a guy would hear the apostle or one of the brothers say, fuck you, you know? And obviously it's been said in a exaggerated term to bring a point across, right? But as a man, you should be able to take a step back, a man of prudence and understanding and not being emotional, and digest what is actually being said and balance it for your own life, to understand that he's not saying if you got a woman, now you're just gonna get up, yeah, and you got kids, and you're gonna get up and say, yeah, fuck you, fuck this, like, you little 3-year-old, fuck off, and then kick him out the house or something.
Because if that was the case, right, because when that went on, right, people did that because they were stupid, right? But how come we didn't take it that way when we heard these things?
Because you
had
gotta
never
digest
understanding,
it.
man.
You have to digest it the right way. Oh, GMS is telling me to leave my woman.
And what it shows you that you're fucking immature, man.
Yeah, man, calm down.
You know?
You gotta break it down. And then you understand, no, if you're a woman, you can't allow your woman and your children to get in the way of this ministry. You gotta be willing to forsake all. That don't mean you can't take your son to the park, bro. No one ain't say that you can't go out to dinner with your woman, bro. Bro, like, and this is a big part of the problem with a lot of these dudes. They're not thinking about things in the realm of reality and balancing what people are actually saying. They're taking it to the furthest extreme. That's extreme. We got a lot of the brothers have got women, man. We go Nando's or whatever. What's your problem?
And you know what it shows as well. It's a kind of like automatic filtering, man. You know, filtering people in and out of this truth, man. That it's not, this truth's not suitable for. The spirit's testing you, man. You're just bugging out.
Bugging.
You know, so it's like a spiritual filtration system that goes on. It always possible to throw something out there, and because you're not understanding, you're not grounded in this truth properly. You get taken out of the way. You know,
you're being a child, man. You're thinking about things on a very childish and immature level, man, and getting emotional and triggered. You know.
Can I read this quickly?
Go on.
In 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 16, it says, and as also in all his epistles, this is Peter talking about Paul, right? Speaking in them of these things in which are some things hard to be understood. Now, I'm not saying this is a hard to understand topic at all, but some of you guys just take it there, man. You make it seem so difficult, but you're just really being morons about it, you know? So in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned, are unstable, they wrestle, they struggle with this truth, man.
Especially when you're not being balanced, man. Goodness gracious.
As do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction. You're destroying yourselves, man.
Yeah, ain't nobody told you. So then the guy comes out and I left GMS because them like told me that I gotta have a wife, and then meanwhile I'm sitting there with my woman watching, like listening to I'm a woman's dick. I'm thinking, well, bro, no one told me that. Like, where did you get that from? No, that's just an excuse that guy he's taking that and trying to make that as an excuse why he's taking the exit. So nah, you gotta move away from that. Yeah, be renewed in the spirit, right? When you hear something, right, take time to digest what's being said and put things in its proper context and balance it.
Don't just react.
And give yourself time to digest it, because you're not gonna take everything and accept it straight away.
You have to grow. It takes
you have
time.
to grow, man. Even hearing about, I'll tell you another thing, hearing about putting Edomites in slavery, the first time you hear that, I'm not expecting a guy to start doing backflips and no, you might be like, oh man, I don't know. Yeah, that's a bit raw still. Like, you know,
dashing their children against the
Mickey at work, you know, like
he's alright, it's cool.
He's alright, man. All that, you know, I mean, my son, he got a little Edomite friend in school. What do you mean he gonna be dashed into pieces? You know, what? Oh, obviously you don't expect a man to hear that and start doing backflips and jumping for joy. But what we do expect is, if you're a man of the Lord, if you feel uncomfortable with that statement, what should you do? Meditate and pray and go over the scriptures and over time your spirit will be renewed. Where you might have felt uncomfortable with it at first, which was the flesh, which is your body kind of conforming to the social understanding that you had before, because your whole life you were taught that slavery was bad, and now we're telling you we're going to put I can understand if your whole life you've been watching Roots and you've been programmed that slavery is bad, slavery is evil, to be a slave master, you're the most evil person in the world, and now we're saying we're going to be slave masters. You're going to be a bit like, But then what does the scripture say? Now that goes back to then taking time to reaffirm yourself and renew yourself in the spirit.
To tune yourself to the word. It takes time for that though, man. We don't you know, to get in sync with the word. That's the goal.
Or what you should do is now all of a sudden it's like, well, no, we're not going to have the Edomites in slavery. And then what does that do? Now you're trying to manipulate and corrupt the words of the Most High to suit your flesh. Because now you feel good with that. You instantly feel good with that because that's what you're used to. So it's like, that feels better. I'm a Hebrew, but no, we're not going to have the Edomites in slavery, and the Edomites can be saved. Because you're hurt because Aunt Sue that used to give you them Aunt Betsy
cookies.
that was giving you them cookies, she gonna have to burn by the missiles, and because you're hurt off the back of that, you need to change the whole doctrine. Huh? GOCC, yeah. So it feels good. So when you imagine you hear Great Millstone and we're telling you these men are going to slavery and it makes you feel uncomfortable, but in GOCC you says they're not going to slavery, you're gonna go with that if you wanna be comfortable.
That's what I was gonna get to, man. Also being comfortable in certain topics. You don't want to talk about a certain thing because it's gonna bring the heat upon you, man. You don't want to deal with that heat, right? So you'd rather change the doctrine to keep that heat away from you, man. You know, to make you look PC in the world, so people can like you more.
It's more comforting that way.
This ain't about.
Yeah, go on, man.
This ain't about. Sorry,
No.
This isn't about what people think of us, man. Couldn't give a damn. Right? This ain't about them. Okay, this is about the word. This is about Yahweh Shai. Right? The Heavenly Father's will. This is what it's all about. It ain't about, because the world's gonna hate us anyway. So you might as well just come roll with it, man.
Yeah, but you know what? If you corrupt the world ain't gonna hate you. If you corrupt this shit, start telling people that we ain't gonna come, man, and talking about we ain't gonna have sex in the kingdom. What's your angle? What's wrong with you, bro? We ain't gonna have what in the kingdom? What kind of madness is that, man? What are you doing, fam? What kind of heaven is that, man, on earth? Where man ain't gonna get none of that sweetness, bro. What's wrong with you, bro? Man, you know, this guy. Go on, man.
This is Matthew 11:6.
Now you might say that's coming from a position of lust, but you know what? It's not. It's the spirit, because it's in the spirit. It's scriptures, man. It's got to multiply, fam. I'm just obeying what's in the scriptures, bro.
I'm down with that.
And it just so happens that it pleases me. Go on.
Matthew 11:6. I got two quick ones. Matthew 11:6. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me.
That's right.
Talking to the point of what you were saying, because
the Lord's gonna bring it straight. The Lord, this truth is gonna bring it straight, and it's gonna bring it raw. And you're gonna different things. Even the persecution comes uncomfortable, but you got to deal with that in the spirit. You can't deal with it in the flesh, because you don't feel good to get your head bust, unless you're one of them Edomites. You know what I mean? That be down in them dungeons paying gals to get them nuts cracked. I could tell you it don't feel good to get hit with lashes. When Paul got hit with them lashes, he wasn't there going, "Ooh, do it again." Yeah. When you getting licked, when your mother, listen, remember my time, my dad, I found some of his plumbing tape, and I thought it was a toy or something, and I rinsed out the whole plumbing tape. And my dad come back and he was like, "Who did that?" And obviously I was honest. I was like, yeah. Listen, my dad whooped me, man, and it weren't nice. Yeah, he whooped me terrible. My back was welted up. Even my aunt felt sorry for me when she saw what happened, man. Yeah, and it didn't feel nice. It don't feel nice when you're getting whipped up.
He didn't do it again.
But why did the disciples rejoice after they were beaten? They were beaten. It hurts, man. Nobody likes to hurt. Someone no one likes to be bleeding and your tooth is falling out. They were rejoicing in the spirit. Go on.
I read it for you. This is Acts 5:29. Then Peter and the other apostles answered, "We ought to obey the Most High rather than men. The God of our fathers raised up Yahweh Shai, whom he slew and hanged up on the tree. Him have Yahweh exalted with his right hand to be a prince and a savior, for to give repentance unto Israel and forgiveness of sins. And we are a witness of these things, and so also is the Holy Spirit, whom Yahweh have given to them that obey him." Just go to the point. And verse 41, and they departed from the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name. And daily in the temple and in every house they ceased not to preach the gospel of Yahweh Shai.
Now, they were rejoicing because they felt pain. No, that doesn't bring rejoicing. The rejoicing was in the spirit, because they understood the words that Yahweh Shai spoke to them, and they knew the reward they would receive in the spirit for doing what they did. They weren't just rejoicing because they got beat. Nobody wants to rejoice because you got beat. You want to avoid getting beaten as much as possible. That's just the way of the flesh. The flesh doesn't want to feel pain. Oh yeah, you want to feel pain? Then go put your hand, go put your hand on the stove, innit? Go turn the stove on and hold your hand there and get burned. You like that? Of course you don't.
John 13 and 14. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done unto you. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord, neither he that is sent greater than he that sent him. If you know these things, happy are you that do them. One verse.
Yeah, but that's still a good point. But those kind of scriptures are the scriptures that you're going to be remembering when you're suffering. That's going to bring you through the suffering.
Yeah.
It's the Spirit that's going to allow you to suffer for righteousness' sake. It's not the flesh.
Yeah.
You see? To be obedient. Yeah, go on.
John 15 and 20. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will also keep yours.
Right, and persecution is hella uncomfortable. But you make it comfortable in the spirit, even if it's not comfortable in the flesh. Now, go on. Yeah, go on.
Matthew 5 and 10. So blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you.
Now, if you're not spiritual, you're not going to rejoice, because the rejoicing comes through the spirit, through the word. The rejoicing don't come just because you got beat up. Trust me, it don't feel good. When a man, listen, if you think that feels good, I don't know what to say to you. When you're getting bust up, man, yeah, man, kicking you up in the ribs. You want to tech where yourself? Go on out. You know what I mean?
Ephesians 4 and 3, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that ye put on the new man, which after most year is created in righteousness and true holiness.
Right, so then the old man is corrupted by the ways of the world, the ways of the heathen. And if you were raised, the minute you're born into this world, regardless of, I don't care where you're born, could be the east, could we say the west a lot, but it don't matter where you're born in this world. Now the west is double fucked, but the east is fucked too. Them man over there in Afghanistan think it's okay to get little boys and start and they're dancing around with the little boys and then popping them and trading them like Pokemon cards. That's what they're doing in the east. The east ain't perfect.
Chop a man's hands off for stealing.
Yeah, they're doing all kind of madness, all kind of wickedness. So really, ultimately, it doesn't really matter where you're born. The minute you're born into this world, you're gonna start learning and picking up corruption, a way which is not right, and that way becomes normal to you. That way is comfortable. That's just how it is. That's the way we do things around here. You come into this truth, now you have to start moving away from that way, which might be uncomfortable at first, and being renewed, and that new man is going to be not of the way of that of the world, but the way of the scriptures, the righteousness of the scriptures, man.
Romans 12 verse 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Yeah. You got to change up your whole psyche about things, man. How you perceive things, according to the scriptures, man. You have to be on the same plane as the scriptures.
And
right?
that conformity, we've seen it in our lifespan. That conformity, how people can change by conforming to a different way. I'll give you an example, because I'm an island man. A lot of you don't know that. I was born on the islands, man. Right? So when I grew up, there were certain things I learned from the people that was before me. Like, certain things don't run. Like, there was no way that I could walk around wearing pink and that. Yeah, there's just the man's knew and understood. Yeah, there was no way that the Batman thing could run. That was understood. That was part of the culture that I grew up in, and there was wicked parts of my culture, but I'm just using that as an example. That was known to be, we don't run that business. I remember one time I was in my aunt's yard, and my aunt Millie, who's resting in peace right now, she called me and my cousin, and I know he must remember this to his day. He called us. He said, "Come here." stand up here. And he would stand up there, and she had a knife because she was cooking in the kitchen, man. And she pulled out this knife and said, any hole in a you two Tambula boy. Yeah? And we're like, what the fuck? This is some random shit. What the fuck you talking to me about? I ain't know no Batty man thing. But that's how serious it was. Now, you remember that? When we was growing up, there's certain things that man couldn't run.
Yeah.
And then it's all of a sudden, you see man are wearing pink and doing all kind of battiness, yeah? And now that has become now acceptable culture. Whereas before, that was completely unacceptable. Tattoos, acceptable culture. Everybody now has conformed to the idea of having tattoos. When we were growing up, that was bikers. It was biker man that was rolling around with tattoo and everywhere.
Skinheads, you know what I mean?
We didn't get no tattoos. Man would look at you like, what's this guy on? You wouldn't be, oh bro, look at what you doing, man? What you doing with that? You couldn't come home and tell your parents how you got a tattoo. Now they're taking you to get tattoos. Another thing,
On your fucking eyeballs and shit.
on your eyeballs, Halloween. When I was growing up, so-called, and I'm talking about here, I don't know about in America, so-called black people never deal with no zombie business, no Halloween. You couldn't listen, that they're running. I didn't know no one, they weren't going to no Halloween parties. That wasn't no thing that so-called black people engaged in. We don't deal with Halloween. Now, everyone's going Halloween party, dressing up for Halloween. So that just shows you that the people have conformed. They follow the fashion. They've conformed to another way, which is of the world.
Yep.
The Bible says, don't conform to the world. No matter what the world does or how the world tries to change things, if you know that what it is wicked, you ain't supposed to conform to that.
Hey, we gotta be constant, like the Most High is constant, man. His
Yeah,
ways
yeah.
don't change. The Most High's ways don't
Oh
change.
no, that
so
was
we shouldn't
Bible
be.
times. That was Bible, which we're gonna get to that because there is a kind of balance to that. But ultimately, there ain't no just. We're in Bible times now. If you really understand, this is Bible times. So what was wrong back then is still wrong now, and what was right back then is still right now. That that doesn't change through time because guess what? The kingdom of heaven is gonna be even longer than this kingdom. And the law ain't gonna change like a billion years from now. Oh yeah, different. No man, life is still life. Yeah.
Well, Isaiah 30 and 20, and though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers. Point being, verse 21, and thine ears shall hear a word behind thee saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. And when you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left, so just essentially the consistent path.
Consistency, man, which is in the law of the Most High and this word, right? Ageless, timeless. That's what these scriptures is.
They're pillars, man. You know, these are all pillars, man. Things that are meant to hold up life. You know, but people are trying to destroy that. He's still trying to destroy that, man, making you go into wickedness, man. That only leads to death.
Progression.
Now he makes it acceptable. Like I said, they phase it in. Oh yeah, man, are wearing pink, and now everyone they wear crop tops now, and little batty riders, and all kinds of
Tie
crazy
top, pants.
You know, man, I have parades now everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's a fucking parade going on. You know, making it popular, making it acceptable when it's not. It really isn't.
And then now they're grooming the children, so the children's
generation.
attitudes are different. So because they're grooming the children in this wicked demonic culture, then now people get uncomfortable when you bun out Batty Man. And I can't believe it. Like, that's why even at work now, you gotta be careful. There's certain Jake that you part with. Like where I work, there's certain couple Jakes that the other Jakes know. When we want to have a frank conversation, he can't be in our WhatsApp group. Because if you start talking against Batty Man, this guy getting emotional. Oh, yeah, that's not right. You're not supposed to do that. What the fuck? Listen, man, shut your mouth, you. So we have to just leave him out, yeah? Because we ban Batty Man around here, right here. We're not trying to, you know what I'm talking about. There's certain Jakes here that they conform to the LGBT doctrine. They conform fully to it. They will stand there and fight you for that. Like, oh no, you can't be like that. That's bigotry. Yo, where you come from? And these are so-called West Indians, man. They're not raw.
On that, Pope Francis basically was on a flight back to the Vatican, and he had a group of West African Jakes and some West Indian Jakes, some pastors on the flight, and it was like a group of Jake pastors right at the front, and he come out with a blasphemous statement talking about if you think that the LGBT is evil, then you're a sinner. Basically saying it's a sin. And then you had them Jakes in the front of the congregation, like rejoicing at that, like literally, like pretty much venerating what he was saying.
They're conforming. They're conforming, man.
So showing more excitement than the Edomites that were amongst them, which shows you like.
Jake's always
man.
OTT related, man.
You know?
Should we finish this off?
Yeah. And also remember the old path. You got that one as
Yeah,
well?
I've still got that.
Then we start going into some of the topics.
So yeah, back in Romans 12:2, it said, "Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High."
Right, and you can prove what the acceptable and perfect will of the Most High is by going into the scriptures with prudency, take your emotions out of it, and also balance it, man. You got to balance it, but these guys don't want to balance it. So when we say that the puberty is the beginning of well, even manhood, it's the beginning of adulthood. Oh, that means a man, you man want to rape, like, what's up, bro? Like, calm your ass down. No one ain't telling you to do nothing. No one ain't saying I'm gonna do nothing. We're just saying what's in the scripture so you can get an understanding, so you can judge correctly. So let's jump into one of these topics now. Which one should we start with? Oh, we still ain't got the old paths. Let's get that, and then we're gonna jump into one of these topics, man. Because we're not afraid. We'll talk about it.
You still have what you told me before?
No, you haven't heard it. You haven't.
Yeah, no, I thought you was bring something, innit?
I was a lawyer, but it was a bad.
Just a quick one on the point. Sirach 5 and 15. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small.
Yeah, these dudes a lot. They omit a lot of information from their argument because they have to. You have to omit scriptures. You have to omit information in order to be saying a lot of the madness that these men are doing, man, to justify their emotions, man. And so these guys are not really men, or not proper men anyway, as a man should be. They're wicked men. They are men, but they're wicked men. And that's what we're striving not to be. We're striving not to be wicked.
Go on. It's the book of Titus 1 and 10. For there are many unlearned and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision.
Which represents these guys, a lot of these guys calling them Hebrew Israelites, calling themselves elders, experts in the scriptures. Like this guy from, you know, these upstarts that just coming out the woodwork. I don't even like giving these guys names, man, because they're just generic dudes anyway. Generic Israelite 1 and generic Israelite Elder 2. All these guys. These dudes are just unruly, man.
Whose mouth must be stopped.
Their mouth needs to be stopped, man, because they're not doing the ministry any good, because they're not really edifying the souls of the saints. We're here, pursuant to Ephesians, the 4th chapter, is to perfect the saints. And in order for the saints to be perfected, we're going to make the saints uncomfortable. We're going to give them harsh truths and harsh lessons that they need to digest. And you're not making that easier by fucking sensationalizing everything, man. God damn. See, they hate black women. It's like, bro, like, calm the fuck down, bro. Really, like, just calm down. They want to kill and rape black women, and they love white. It's like, bro, calm down, bro. Calm down. Please. This is some decorum, some parliamentary, what did my man say? Eubanks, some parliamentary procedure, please. Soon as Great Millstone come up to the camp, they just, you're a rapist.
Who subvert war houses, teaching things which they ought not, for the truth Lucas said.
Yeah, for making money too. A lot of these dudes just want to maximize their following. And how do you maximize your following? You tailor your product for the people, man, and make it easily accessible and believable. And that's what Christianity is. Christianity was a doctrine that they corrupted the word of the Most High and incorporated just enough paganry into it to make it easy for the pagans to convert to the new state religion. oh, okay, well, you know what? We celebrate Saturnalia. We can still kind of do that, but we just call it Christmas. It makes it easy to transition rather than you can't celebrate Saturnalia and now you got to keep this high holy day, which is something completely different and done in a completely different way. It's harder for someone to change. It's easier to change when what you're changing to is similar to what you had before. It's more comfortable.
And that's why the term Catholicism means universally accepted.
Yeah.
You know, because they managed to sort of meld all these different religions together. And so no matter where you are in the world, there's something you can get down with, man.
Oh, Mary's the Queen of Heaven.
Part.
Oh, that sounds like the Queen of Heaven I worshipped before. Why not?
Yep. I just wanted to bring this out quickly, man.
Yeah.
But say, you know, it's all about your followings, and the way you get more people in is obviously appealing to their own nature, right? Knowing things are going to trigger them, right? So you know you're going to get things, right?
Well, smooth things.
Well, this isn't a smooth topic, but when we get this, right? It's the day of the world. Sorry, 1 John chapter 4, verse 5. It's the day of the world, therefore speak they of the world, and the world heareth them. Your message is not going out for the elect.
Yeah.
You know, your message is going out for the world, man, because the world are going to back you up, man, because they're emotional too.
Yeah,
and don't understand the scriptures.
All them morons on the comment board, yeah, great nail stand. And you can tell these people are like unable to digest things in the proper way. They're really low lives.
Basis,
and then you guys are haters, man. They're like niggas, man, basically, man. These dudes are not really of I don't want to sound like, but you could tell these dudes are of the baser sort, you know? Just put it that way.
Their spiritual IQ is low.
These dudes don't have the ability to do any kind. You could tell they're not prudent for themselves. And the Lord ain't really even looking for guys like that. He's looking for the nobility, the elect, the best, which are higher forms of men, not low-grade Negroes that run around with emotion. 40-year-old man getting emotional. Like the man in Brixton. I know you saw that, innit? Yeah. The man in Brixton having a brawl. What's wrong with these 40-year-old dudes, man?
Well, this real quick. 1 Timothy 6:1. Let as many servants as are under the yoke count their own masters worthy of all honor, that the name of Yahweh and his doctrine be not blasphemed. And they that have believing masters, let them not despise them because they are brethren, but rather do them service because they are faithful and beloved partakers of the benefit. These things teach and exhort. If any man teach otherwise, such as those men, and consent not to the wholesome words, even the words of our Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach, and to the doctrine which is according to godliness, he is proud, knowing nothing, but doting about questions and strifes of words, whereof cometh envy, strife, railings, evil, some risings, perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds, and destitute of truth, supposing that gain is godliness. From such withdraw thyself.
Straight to the point, man. See, did you have the scripture, Isaiah? Yeah, read that and then
Jeremiah.
we'll pick one of these comments. Yeah, Jeremiah, yeah. We'll pick one of these topics.
Alright, this is from Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16. It said, thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, the assured tested way, right? And walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. You carry on?
Yeah, break it down. So read that again, I'll just get this.
Right, so when you come into this truth, right, there's change that's required. Because we've grown up in a world where we've been taught different things, and our perception of things is different to how the Lord would want you to have, to have them. So we've got to change up the ways we are, become the new man, right? So that means accepting the old ways, because you might consider them old ways because that was in a time where that we don't live in. But the old ways are all for all time. Realistically, it's all for all time. These laws are constant throughout forever, right? So we're having to relearn what they are. And because we're not in that culture right now, because this world is been transformed under Esau and all these different cultures or whatever, right? We're far away from that.
Right.
We're far away.
But at the very least, your mind should be able to comprehend that and understand that, okay, that's the way forward. However, we're going to put a disclaimer here, because before we go into these things, if we don't put a disclaimer, man, get simple. But the thing is, do we need to do that? When we talk about Leviticus 20:13, yeah, do I really need to tell you that if you walk down the road, yeah, and you see some bate boy moving across the road, you ain't supposed to pull out a fucking Rams and do manim straight there and then? See, you see how these men are moronic, and these men, they know that, they can understand that part. But when we're saying these other laws that's there, and we're saying, but you can't practice it now, they don't want to give us that. They don't want to give us that same leeway.
Yeah.
It's we don't see me going around chopping off Batty boys' heads and that. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna do that because we're not in our kingdom. However, that would be right according to the scriptures. But we know also another thing: you ain't supposed to go around killing someone for adultery. Like if your woman commits adultery on you, we're not really in the time of killing her. You just leave. Because what does the scripture say? We're under grace. If we were already going out there handing out death penalties, yeah, according to the scriptures, then they won't be long till the death penalty will be coming to you, and there wouldn't be no man left.
But this is the thing, we're not in a time of judgment. When the Lord comes, it's time for judgment. We're here simply handing out.
But is adultery wrong?
It is wrong.
Right, and if someone was put to death for adultery, according to the law, that judgment is right. But we also need to balance that as adults with the time we're living in. So yes, there's certain things that we're not going to fulfill, but you can still understand them. Yeah?
Well, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 12. All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient.
All things are lawful, but all things are not expedient. The world we're living in, you can't keep the laws to the 100% in this world. You just do it to the best of your ability and with wisdom and with balance. But are we not going to judge the world to come? And how are we going to judge the world to come? Based upon what's in these scriptures. So you have to develop an understanding. And that's all we're doing. Certain things that the apostles brought out, they didn't bring it out so you could go do it.
Yeah.
They brought it so that you can understand. Your brother dies, he didn't have no children with his wife, and you're just gonna roll up. Like, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real, bro. And this is what I mean about culture. You're gonna roll up to the funeral, yeah? And she's there mourning your brother, and then you're like, yeah, you know what, yeah? True say, you know, man, I'm gonna give you like about a month to mourn my brother, then you're gonna come to my yard and we're gonna sort this thing out. But bro, she's gonna look at you like, what the fuck? What's this guy? And everyone in the place is gonna go mad. What's this guy on?
Because here that's unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. It's not the way things are, and you'd be an idiot. And then now you're gonna sit there and argue. Listen, no,
this is the scriptures.
This is bro. You just and if you come to us, we're gonna say, bro, what are you doing?
What did you expect?
What are you doing, bro? Leave the woman alone, man. Yeah. We know that's how it would be according to the scripture, but you can't do it right now like that, Rasta. You just have to calm yourself down. And that's what I mean about having that wisdom and that understanding. The scripture says we're going to rehearse the righteous acts, but we're not going to get it perfected right now. So you're not expected to go pop your brother's widow, bro. Hey, bro, you didn't go do that, fam. Listen, go do that right now. Like, what? You're going off,
Dishonoring the family.
It's like, bro, come on, man. Man, go grab up his brother's widow and take her up into the yard, man. Hey, go ahead, man.
This book of Romans 7 and 12. Wherefore, the law is holy, and the commandment is holy, and it's just and good.
There you go. It's just, and that's all we're saying. What's written in the scriptures and the way of the scriptures is just and good. And all we want you to do is just agree that. Now, you don't have to like it. That's your business if you don't like it. But just admit that that's what's in the scriptures, man.
Because, you know, based on the example we just gave, man, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why, the brother would take the brother's widow, right, to preserve his seed, man, and his inheritance and all that. There's a reason behind that. It isn't just some barbaric action that, you know, because here it's completely unacceptable, man. It will never go down, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be frowned upon.
She ain't gonna
forever.
she ain't really gonna be down with it like that.
Yeah.
And even the man, if you try to tell a man to do that, he'll be like, nah, I don't know. That's my brother's. You know, even if
understandably, but
some guys will
in
feel
this
like
world,
that. Yeah, but
because that's how we've been raised up.
exactly.
We don't see it how the Lord sees it, and the reasons why the Lord, you know, has it in writing for us to go by.
And
but there's a reason behind it.
And again, it's your prerogative to not like it. The brother could say, well, I don't really like this woman. That doesn't determine whether what the law says is right or wrong, or whether he would have to do it or not. Because sometimes you have to do things in the law that you might not like. Like, who likes putting, if your son went out there and committed murder against someone, yeah, and then them man come and gave you the evidence, and now you got to deliver your son up to get chopped, to get shook, to get murked, are you gonna feel good about that? You're gonna start doing backflips and yay, my son's gonna die today. You're gonna feel like, oh man, like my son's. But according to the law, you got to deliver him up, man, to the avenger of blood. That's the right thing to do. What's right doesn't always feel good.
You had the judge that prayed to the Lord for deliverance of Israel, and then he promised that he'd kill the first thing.
Deliver, and then it ended up being his daughter.
Yeah.
You think he felt right about that, man?
Yeah.
Back to that example though, yeah, it's so serious, man. One man got put to death for not doing that.
Oh,
Onan.
yeah.
I was thinking about it. Onan, man. You know, he didn't want to raise it to his brother, man. He got put to death.
He didn't get no grace, bro.
Yeah.
You know, so it might seem outrageous to you right now because we're in this world right now. Okay, but like I said, these things are in place among our people in the Hebrew Israelite culture. Okay, that we have to come to terms with, man. Because in the kingdom, that's not that this is going to apply to us because we're going to be blessed, right? But in the judging another matter, for instance, right, we'd have to know this, man, and apply this rule, these laws.
Yep.
All right.
Well,
So
Isaiah 2, we'll get that real quick. Isaiah the 2nd chapter.
Isaiah.
The Moabites, I mean. Esther.
You know my Ruth.
Ruth, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it
Boaz.
the Moabite, yeah.
You have to fulfill that law, yeah.
Isaiah the 2nd chapter. You want to bring this up, bro?
Yeah, just read down. It's only about the first 2 or 3 verses.
Isaiah 2:1. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountains of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above all the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord Yahweh, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths.
what are these ways? The law, the righteousness of the law, right? That's what we've been given the office to do. Okay.
For we will walk in his paths, for out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord Yahweh from
So
Jerusalem.
it ain't gonna be the paths of this world, how this world operates and how things are set on. No, we're gonna go back to the old ways, the old paths, and that's what the people are gonna learn. You know. So it ain't gonna be strange in that day. It sounds strange now, but it ain't gonna be strange
it's
in
gonna
that
be
day.
normal for everyone. The way, there's only gonna be one way that's gonna be established in the earth. Not like now. There's gonna be no debating. Man are debating what a man and a woman is. It's madness, yeah. There are a lot of these things that's causing all this contention and debate and discourse, and you gotta have a 5-hour fucking never-ending discourse about what the role of a wife is and all that stuff. That's not gonna be in the kingdom. This is gonna be normal. What is the right way? You know. Have you still got? Did you have Jeremiah?
Yeah.
Alright, let's get that, and then we're gonna get.
Want to read it again?
Yeah, and then have you got the blue letter on up in your thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, get 1 Corinthians 7 and 36, and also bring up the Bible comparison as well. Because we're gonna start with this thing about the age, which we'll have to drop a few disclaimers, because obviously we need to, because a lot of these men are too childish and trigger. Hurt.
Alright, so it's Jeremiah 6 and 16 again, right? It says, Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein.
So even from back then, our people had the way, and they started to corrupt themselves by following after other ways, like the ways of Egypt, like the ways of the different various heathens round about them,
Things that suited them.
that they thought was nice and exotic, and look where we ended up. So now we're trying to go back to the old path, and these men are making it difficult, and they're meant to be, they're supposed to be in a position where they're supposed to teach the people the right way, and they're trying to put our people back to sleep. They're trying to enable our people to stay in the ways of Babylon. Now let's deal with this whole thing about the age, man, because these dudes don't understand age and adulthood and all these different things. So let's get 1 Corinthians. Now the first thing we're going to say is there's no such thing as a teenager, right? Being a teenager, or what's known as an adolescent in the way that we know it today, has been fabricated. Right? In the ancient world, you had children, and then you had oh, I know that woman. What's her name? You had children, and then you had you got children, and then you got what's it called? Adults, men or women. And there was a specific time where that transition occurred according to nature. According to nature, according to biology. In boys, it was the beginning of puberty when your balls dropped. Which usually, because it's not an exact thing, but usually it's around 12 to 13 years old where the boy balls drop and move on. Now you can have instances where some guys have it a little earlier, some people have it a little bit late. And then the same thing goes for women. The transition into womanhood has always been menarche, or menarche, which is the beginning of the woman's menstrual cycle. That's when she's now sexually mature, meaning that she can now reproduce. She's already started thelarche, which is the breasts and so forth, and now she can reproduce. But at that point, even though they are man and woman, they're still growing. But they are men and women at that point, and that's always been the case throughout basically every culture there's ever been, including our culture. This isn't something new or really specific. Even if you go back to even the ancient Egyptians, it was the same thing. Like most ancient people, that's how it was. But there were little stipulations that happened based upon tribe or family that could be added in there, and we're going to touch on that. But the whole idea of a teenager never really existed. So let's get the scripture real quick.
So in the King James first. This is 1 Corinthians 7:36. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely towards his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age and needs so require, let him do what he will, he sinneth not, let them marry.
Right, so what it's talking about here is if there was an engagement, a betrothal, right, which again, that's something that people emotionalize because their idea of relationships is based upon romantic literature, right? The fantasy version of a relationship that is reinforced by novels and movies. That's what we operate on, especially in the West. Men and women, especially women, their idea of how a relationship is formed is based upon what they see in movies. So the typical thing of the prince comes along and blah 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 and all that stuff. But the reality is that there were different ways in which a man and a woman could become engaged and then married. Alright, so if we go back to the law, you had something known as a betrothal. So a father would go into a contract and agreement with the father or with another man, it depends on the situation, in regards to marrying that daughter. Right? So for example, let's say I've got a daughter, I can have a friend, right? And I could say to my son, verbal contract, because verbal contracts existed. I could say, look, bro, when you have a son, right? Or if you have a son and I have a daughter, when they're born, then we'll seal the fact that they're going to be married. And then we'll arrange the between us, because it's a contract, time and place and dowry, because that's between us. No one else can come in and say, you have to do it this way. And that's another thing that these guys don't really realize, is that if you have extra stipulations, that's on you. You see? No one thinks it, because it's your daughter. You could put extra stipulations if you want. But you could make the contract and say, listen, my daughter is going to marry your son. And you could do that before she even, maybe even born, or even even has passed puberty. You can promise her. And then so now that's a contract that needs to be fulfilled. It could really only be broken if you both agree to break it. You understand what I'm saying? Otherwise, it has to be fulfilled. So if we go into the law, I'll show you. It's counted as adultery if you break that. What's that? Deuteronomy?
I'll get it now. I was saying I had an example of betrothal if you.
Yeah. We could bring it out if you got an example.
Yeah, go on. So this is 1 second. The book of Judges, the first chapter. So that's the 1 second. This is Judges, the first chapter, verse 12. Let me make sure it's and so this is going into the capture of the other cities. And Caleb said, "He that smiteth Kirjathsepher and taketh it, to him will I give Achsah my daughter to wife." And Othniel.
So he's actually putting forth his daughter as a prize. I think the same thing happened with Saul as well.
Yeah.
Now in today's society, whoa, that would be crazy. Like, oh my God, like how can you do that? She doesn't have a choice. Yeah, she was cool with it, bro. Yeah. And she got extra gifts on top of that if you read the story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, bro, man weren't just like horrible, and these guys are just assholes. But anyway, go on.
And so it says, and Othniel the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it, and he gave him Achsah his daughter to wife. And it came to pass, and that's the main point on that. There's even another one that I've got real quick, which I'll grab right now. This is the book of in regards to Jacob, Genesis the 29th chapter.
I was gonna say something, man, because you wouldn't like to be the prize, right? You was offered as a prize.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Man was getting a prize.
You know?
The fair maiden, yeah? And the man had to prove himself worthy by the gauntlet that the father set before him, man. And the thing is, I've seen movies where they've demonized this, and Esau's very good at that. Esau is very good. If you want to, you can demonize the act of betrothal. It's very easy, and I'll tell you how Esau does it. When you watch these films, like for instance, Coming to America, right? They'll give the guy that's betrothed to the woman the worst characteristics ever. 100% he's an asshole. Yeah? So you're like, this guy, which anyone would think, yo, this guy's an asshole. And then they'll make the guy that's trying to break up that covenant,
He's marrying Joffrey,
a good guy. Yeah, she's marrying Joffrey. So then what they're doing is playing with your emotions. Where you're like, yeah, she should get with a good guy, but there's already a contract. So the righteousness of the situation is, that's her husband now. And I saw it in one movie I was watching. The one guy, he kind of made an agreement for the one of his generals to marry his daughter, and in the film the guy was just a brute and a complete asshole, yeah. And then the other guy, the Prince Charming, was a nice guy. They've done that on purpose because they want you to basically through your emotions deny the sanctity of that covenant. But at the end of the day, there's nothing more important than that covenant. But in reality, who really betrothed it? It's not that deep, man. Come on. Anyway, let's move on.
They had an example. Aquaman was a good example of that, because he was actually an illegitimate son, because his mother ended up fleeing her actual partner and went and married a land dweller, and then gave birth to him, and then they gave him the throne through the mother, which is the whole.
Yeah, that's adultery. No, because at the end of the day, a covenant must be kept, and a betrothal is a covenant unto death. It's important because when you live in a world where no one's keeping their covenants, that's a world where you can't trust no one, and everything becomes chaotic. What's his name did the same thing, and he got put to death rightly. The Red Wedding, the Game of Thrones. He made the agreement that he was gonna marry the man's daughter, and then tried to pull out of it and marry the next woman. Nah, man, what kind of king are you? You're supposed to keep your word. Anyway, let's keep it moving.
So this real quick, Genesis 29 and 21. And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the packed place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him. And he went in unto her, and Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for a handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said unto Laban, what is this that thou hast done unto me? Did I not serve with thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me?
So he consummated the marriage with a woman that was outside of the contract, but he still kept Leah. But Laban was being wicked, man. He didn't keep his word. But the Lord ultimately knew what he was doing, because David got 2 wives out of that. And he had to work for it too. Which Which, hold on. Why didn't Jacob just grab Rachel and run?
Right.
Why? Because you see, again, you know what I mean? You don't, it's not normal for a guy to really do that. It causes a lot of problems that you don't really want.
Oh, yeah. Even King David with the 100 foreskins of the Philistines when
he had to pay. Come on. So there's different ways you can get married, but these guys, just rape. No, that was just one of the ways, and we're gonna explain it. Like adults. Come on. Like their version of what we're saying is that every man was just running around raping everyone and come on, bro. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, back in 1 Corinthians 7:36, I'll read it again. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely towards his virgin.
Did you get the law on befuffle?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was Deuteronomy. Yeah, Deuteronomy. Yeah, I wanted Deuteronomy 23. Sorry, 22. And where was it? 23. Because once you're betrothed, you're pretty much married already. The contract is in place. So breaking that contract is the same as adultery. Yeah. So that's how you can get married, bro.
Quickly, just section, good. With marriageable age in ancient
Alright, hold
times.
on to that. Don't get that yet. I want to get through these laws first on befuffle.
Alright, Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto her husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die.
Right, because it's what's it called? The act of betrothal is already basically a marriage that's been promised, and if you break that, then the penalty is death. It's just like adultery.
Because you're taking away the maiden from the future husband.
So what it's saying there is that going back to 1 Corinthians, if a man has a woman that's betrothed to him, right, and he wants to go in and deal with that woman and consummate the marriage, you gotta let it happen. If what? She passed the flower of her age, and we're gonna show it to you. Let's read it.
It says, well, if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely towards his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age, and needs so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not, let them marry.
There's no sin. Let him marry. Now, what is the flower of the age? Now, this is where it takes understanding. The flower of her age represents her reaching puberty and becoming sexually eligible. How do we know that? Well, look at the terminology. The flower of her age. The actual when a girl transitions into a woman, it's known as, the period is known as her flowers, and the vagina actually blooms like a flower. I hate to be fucking graphic, but this is why it was said that way. A terminology, you can look it up, from the Middle Ages, which is when this was translated, for a period was known as the flowers, because there's multiple reasons for that. A flower is a sign that a plant is sexually mature and is ready to reproduce. That's what a flower is. A flower is a sexual organ of a plant. If you didn't know that, okay, that's where you get the pollen and pollinization, the sexual reproduction, right? The sign in a woman that she is ready for sexual reproduction is her passing X, which is her period. Secondly, the vagina itself, the labias come out, and it literally blooms like a flower. I hate to be graphic, but that's just what happens, and it all happens at puberty, right? So when it says she passed the flower of her age, meaning she's marriageable now, because you're not supposed to deal with a woman beforehand. That's why even when you watch Game of Thrones, Sansa became worried about getting married, and she tried to hide the fact that she started her flowers, because the minute she started her flowers, that made her eligible to be married. Okay? So read that again, and then also I want you to read me there's a translation that makes it a bit more easier in the English.
I can't. So in the King James again, 1 Corinthians 7:36. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely towards his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age,
If she's past the flower of her age, if she's marriageable, what makes her marriageable? She's passed from childhood into womanhood through menarche. Now you're gonna say, well, what if she's 8 years old? We know that's not natural. So let's use understanding now and not be childish. Generally speaking, women used to go into puberty 11, 12, 13, sometimes 14, 15. Some women today don't even have their first period until they're 16. It's not an exact date, but it's usually 12 to 13. But it can be even after that. But let's not get childish with it. Goodness gracious, man. What if she's 2 years old? You know what I mean? What the fuck, man? What's wrong with these dudes? Fuck, like obviously no. What the fuck? Grow up, man. Yeah, man.
And need so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not, let them marry.
Let them marry, meaning let them consummate the marriage. Now,
Sorry, bro. I know you're just saying that, yeah.
New Living
And I'm
Translation.
thinking
the
about
Passion,
it now, it's
even
like-
says Passion.
These scriptures are meant to teach you wisdom, man. You're meant to apply wisdom into situations. You know? Going the sensational route, man, it's taking away wisdom out of the situation, man. Because you're so emotionally caught up. You're trying to think of the most extreme situations, man, but you have to use wisdom in these situations, man. Okay? Not all this emotional shit.
yeah, that one.
Alright. So this is in the ASV, still back in 1 Corinthians 7:36. But if any man thinketh that he behaveth himself unseemly towards his virgin daughter, if she be past the flower of her age, and if need be so requireth, let him do what he will, he sinneth not, let them marry.
No, that's what it says in the scriptures. But let's get some understanding here. That isn't saying, say like you got a daughter now, she has her first period. That doesn't mean you need to marry her off the
I
next
have to
day.
sell her off now.
It's fucking annoying, because as her father, you have control over that because she's under your house. If you so decide that you want to wait 2 years, reasonable amount of time, I can't. What can I say? Then do that. No one's ain't telling you nothing. It's just if another man decides to do that, you can't tell him nothing because it's according to the law. In the ancient world, of course, you can't really do that now. And this is what you need to remember. You still have your own leeway within the confines of the law to make a decision according to you and what you think is right. You might look at your daughter at 12, 13 years old and think, I know her, she's not ready for marriage.
Does that mean the father's the master of the daughter? The master gets to decide what the daughter does.
So that's up to you. So if you feel uncomfortable with that,
Then be uncomfortable.
then
innit?
be
Don't do it.
uncomfortable with that. That's got nothing to do with what's in the scriptures or what's right or wrong. And that's what we're trying to let you understand. Now, the whole thing about the age thing, because they make it into an age thing. First and foremost, there ain't no law about what age. Once a man becomes a man and a woman becomes a woman, right?
Yeah.
Age is not really of significance, only down to obviously wisdom and your preference. So if you got a man and he's like 50 years old, right, there's nothing stopping him getting with a woman.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what age the woman is, there's nothing stopping him getting with a woman. It's only your feelings and how you feel about it. And yeah, you're gonna have feelings. If you got a daughter and some 8-year-old dude with fucking long ass hairs coming out his thing about to die wants to marry you, I won't marry him. I won't want to marry my daughter. I'll tell you straight, like, bro, you old as fuck, man. Like, allow it, start. Like, nah, like, Rasta, like, it's all right. That's up to me, though. If the man,
Because you could decide to pair her with somebody else.
you could do it. Oh, exactly. That's up to you. But if they did get married, an 8-year-old and a 20-year-old or whatever you want to,
No one's-
whatever
no one's
number,
open their
that's
mouth.
no one else's fucking business but theirs. Whoever's involved in the contract and who has the final decision. There's no sin there. Whether you feel a certain way about it or not, is not the question here, because it's not unlawful. It's just not unlawful according to the Bible. Now, in this world, you got age of consent laws. You got to follow them according to your jurisdiction. But that's even differs from whatever country you are. Because in the UK, it's 16.
I believe in Europe it could be as young as
13
or something like that. In Europe, in the West.
People just have a certain way they feel about it based upon their culture. But what we're trying to say is, in the Hebrew culture, you just had marriageable age, which the brother's going to go into. A marriageable age was puberty, and that's the bottom line. So why we have to have this big, massive discussion about it? It just is what it is.
Even when King David was in old age, they brought him a young
Now, you know what? We have to get that.
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, read it. Let's read that as well.
First Kings chapter 1 from the top. Now King David was old and stricken in years.
He was old. Okay, go on.
And they covered him with clothes, but he got no heat. Wherefore his servants said unto him, Let there be sought for my lord the king a young virgin.
Now, if she was a young virgin, the likelihood is, because it ain't like now where women are just sitting on the shelf for ages, which is not impossible. It's not impossible, but it's not like now where women are sitting on the shelf for that long. So this woman was definitely had to be below maybe like 17, 16, you know, because why would a woman be sitting on the shelf a bit longer than that? It just doesn't make sense, because marriage was their thing.
Yeah.
To move on in life, like, you know what I mean? Why are you waiting until nowadays women want to wait
Got a
until
career.
like 30 or something to get married. It's retarded. Yeah. So she was a young woman. She could have been as young as 12, 13. Yeah.
And you got to think about what was going on behind the scenes prior to that, you know, because they sent for a young woman to
And they said she was good looking too.
Right.
Now I'm gonna tell you a story now. Now this is a serious story, and you man can lie and be a hypocrite if you want. But let me tell you a story. When we was in sixth form, so when we was at 17, yeah, we was in sixth form. There was a house rave. Now obviously a house rave don't have no ID. Yeah, man just roll up in the house rave, and man are dressed to impress, and man are up in the house rave. Okay, now we're up in this house rave now, all the man them, and there's gal all up in the rave. Gal we know, gal we don't know. And this gal comes up into the rave, yeah. And I'll be honest with you, the man them was fiending on this gal. I remember the dress she was wearing, one of them little sparkly dresses, blood, tight. Bumper was looking. Woo! Breast, she had breast and bumper. That's what the man them are looking for, right? Let's not play games. She was looking good. Every man was trying to move to it. I remember certain man did move to it, but no man never got nothing, right? Man didn't think nothing of it. So 2-2s now, man, I've gone to school, obviously sixth form, we go sixth form, 2 days later, whatever, man's just chilling there now. Man's like, yo, bro, Ross, there's that girl from the party. What are we talking about? Where? Bro, she's fucking year 8. She's fucking year 8. Fuck, listen. And but the reason I told that story is that there's a reason why they invented the terminology called jailbait, because, and you could go into the history and the research behind that, right? But the laws they introduced for the age of consent in England at first was really more to do with prostitution than it was to getting married. And then what happened was you had a lot of men that was going to jail, and that's why they called it jailbait, because the problem is that it's very hard, it's very difficult if you don't have ID to tell how old a girl is and whether she's eligible according to the age of consent. Because some girls are more developed at certain age than others. You can get a girl that's like 14 and she's got full bumper and breasts and she wears a dress, she can get into a nightclub with the women and nobody knows. I'm a lion. And that's what's called jailbait. Until you find out, you're like, oh shit. Do you know how many girls lie about their age to man them? I've had it where I've known certain girls, I've seen a text, she's told the dude that she's 18 and she's fully fucking 15. And my man doesn't know because when he sees her, she's not wearing school uniform, she just got full breast and bumper fat. That's what's known as jailbait, because technically, physically, she's a woman, but according to the legalities of today's society, she's uneligible. And that's what we're trying to say. Don't be a hypocrite. Jailbait is a real thing. That's why a lot of men come from the West Indies and end up in jail. Because they just on the road looking for gal and they just, oh yo, come here. The gal looks sweet. They don't not look at asking for ID. But you should. You should, because you don't want to go that route, man. You end up on the list, bro.
Yeah, you should.
So don't be.
Make sure it ain't fake.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, they be doing
Fake
that too.
IDs too. Yeah.
So don't be a hypocrite. Everyone has seen these situations occur. Everyone has seen these situations occur. And ultimately, what's the difference? Let's just keep it real. What's the difference between a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old? It's an arbitrary number that someone just plucked and just put it there. What's the difference between a 21-year-old and a 20-year-old? And the worst thing is, all them girls are already getting bust out anyway. And getting pregnant is just dumb. It's dumb, man.
By guys that don't care. You know, young men that don't care, just want to get some rocks.
They're rooting them out anyway. But again, this is you having emotional intelligence and deal with things in a proper manner. Go on, read on.
On this David thing, what I was going to say is, you know, you need to think about the things that are going on behind the scenes prior to this, man, because they wanted to fetch a woman for David to get warmth and to liven up, right? But they would have had discussions with the father, you know.
Yeah.
We want your daughter to do this. Some men will be like, it's an honor, yeah. You know, but there would have been discussions going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? There would have been discussions about it. And the damsel, she might have been asked, how do you feel about, yeah, it's my king, and whatever, man. Whatever discussions went on. It wasn't just, oh, they just snatch man up and
that's another thing that get guys emotional. The fact that she could have a choice, but she could not.
Because Rebecca was asked.
Again, but you see, these guys would get so emotional. Bro, if you want to give your daughter a choice, that's your business. But if another man doesn't, that's his business. Why can't we just deal with this like men, like with understanding? Like, stop trying to project yourself onto other men where it's not necessary.
Some fathers might have been gone up to you and said, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Could be. You don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but you have to think about it logically, what the discussions would have had to be had. And this particular situation, the father agreed, the daughter agreed, and that's what happened. You know, regardless of King David's age.
But he couldn't get up, man.
Yeah,
he's done out here. He's done out here, man. And they didn't have Viagra back in the days. Yo, man.
Wherefore his servant said unto him, let there be sought for my lord the king a young virgin, and let her stand before the king, and let her cherish him, and let her lie in his bosom, that my lord the king may get heat. So they sought for a fair damsel. So they fought for a fair damsel throughout all the coast of Israel. So like you said, they went through the whole land of Israel and found the most pretty woman that they could find. And found Abishag a Shumite and brought her to the king. And the damsel was very fair and cherished the king and ministered to
so
him.
She was down, she cherished the king, she loved the king.
She served him.
You know?
But the king knew her not.
He couldn't do the thing, man. That's how they knew that it was over. Yeah. All right. And so this talk, and then like I said, we could go into so much research on every level and bring it out, but it really is that simple. It's not really something that should be. I mean, like you don't have to go back that far in history. Really, you don't have to go back in history anyway. But there's plenty of girls getting pregnant right now at 13, 14, 15, 100%. We're not saying we're just saying it happens. But if you really go back to like our great grandmother's era, it was regular that then women were starting having babies early, man. You know, there's a lot of mans as there. You know, it's just. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we? It's just. It is what it is, man. Okay. Now, again, the disclaimer is that that's how things should be, but you're not going to be able to live like that right now. You know, I don't expect to come home tomorrow and my daughter's pregnant, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what it is. But you have to have that cultural understanding and just deal with it. Okay? So that's I mean, any other points on the age of?
No, I was just gonna say, even around betrothal, there was laws around it. That's why even when King David committed adultery with Bathsheba, even King David had to suffer consequences for that because of the fact that he got Uriah killed.
Yeah, she was actually married. Yeah,
she was married. she was she was married, and he sort of a married woman that was married onto Uriah, which was adultery. So ultimately, there was a law and framework around it that every man in Israel had to abide to marriage and betrothal.
Marriage, all that, man. Now, so we know about the betrothal. You pay the father the money, the dowry, you know, and all that business. But then there was another way, but you still end up having to pay a dowry, and that was through enticement. Yeah, that's part of the scriptures too. We can't ignore that. So one way that a man could get a woman, let's say he had a woman and she wasn't betrothed, she was in the village or something, she could just like the don, innit? She liked the way the man moves. She liked how man's cloak is. She feeling the kid, man spit a few words to her. You know what I'm saying? Got her feeling nice. And man dealt with her. But now we gotta go make it right. You know, as they would say, make an honest woman out of her, man. Yeah. And so if we can get that, that's in Exodus, right? Exodus 22. About if a man entice a maid, and when you look up the word entice, it means to lay open, and that's what it is. When you're spitting game to a woman, they'll say, he had me open, meaning you've broken down her boundaries, and she's open to you to do what you want with her, man. We've all been there. You know, you spit that good game, and she ready to give it all up, man. That's in the scriptures too. And if that happens, if a man spit game to your daughter, and it'll actually say entice the maid.
I don't know. This is something else.
Oh.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, read that, man.
Exodus 22:16. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her,
that is not betrothed, because you're not supposed to be enticing a woman who is betrothed or married. Yeah. If she's not betrothed, you spit the game, you shoot your shot. Go on.
He shall surely endow her to be his wife.
Right, if you go and you do that, then you're going to endow her to be your wife. Because you see, what we don't want is the world we have today, where you got a lot of loose sex, and the creation of too many broken and used up women. That's no good. Mm-hmm. The laws are there to really keep the whoredom to a minimum. Yeah. Because what happens when you got a society with too many whores? You don't have enough wives and mothers. You need more wives and mothers than you need whores. Mm-hmm. So the laws are set up that, listen, like when you go get with that woman, it's best to make it right. So man would then go to the father after the deed and make the negotiations.
If her father utterly refused...
Now the father can turn around and say, no, you're not marrying my daughter.
You ain't suitable.
Alright? But more than likely, unless you were a complete fucking demon, he's gonna be like, oh, okay, it is what it is. You know what I mean? She's chosen that, and it's gonna be difficult for her to get a decent man now, because she's not gonna be first pick or first choice. She might as well stick with this. It's rare that the dude who got enticed by her would be of such a low standard, and that you'd be like, I don't want nothing to do with you. But it could be possible. It's possible. The guy's a low life vagrant. You're like, nah, you know what? I don't want you to have nothing to do with my family, man. That's possible, and he can do that. Well,
if her father utterly refused to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. That's the point.
Right, now, what's the other way a woman can get married? And this is the way that get man emotional. They get all emotional as if we're saying that's the only way, and that's the way you should do it, and we want to do that, and that's what we're going to be doing, just running around like it's one of them werewolf or zombie films, just grabbing up women at random. Because that's what they think. But let's get Deuteronomy, 22 and 28. These guys get so emotional, man.
I think I was already there.
It's unbelievable, man. Unbelievable how emotional these guys get. Like, when we know that in the scriptures, that wasn't the go-to way that men got married. People mainly got married through betrothals and enticements, and that only makes sense because at the end of the day, not only is it difficult to be that close to someone, like if you're that close to someone where you got access to the daughter, you probably know them. Yeah, you know the family. Like, it ain't like now where you got that many strangers walking around. In the ancient world, they lived in small communities. the women were within the confines of the community and everyone knew each other. They were all distant family. So it's like you go into the cookout and deciding you want to kidnap your it doesn't make no sense. It just wouldn't. A normal man is not going to think like that. Is really going to either entice her or just go and ask. And then if it ain't going to be like that, then just go get another girl, innit? You don't want to rattle, because that is going to cause some kind of friction or tension if you do it like that. Because you're kind of forcing the man's hand.
This man just run away. Just run away together.
Even if you look at how they went and got Rebecca, the man didn't just go and kidnap Rebecca. Man went and tried to do business. That's like the first thing that a man does. He try and do the business, man. You know what I mean? Like, so let's not put it into this realm where we're saying like, okay, this is the only and the ultimate way, and this is how everything should be done, and it's the best way forward.
This is how the real Hillbillies do it.
But it can happen that way. Just like with the Benjaminites, it can happen that way.
And again, like, this is no concern to us right now.
Yeah.
Or ever even now, right? This is something that's in the scriptures that did happen. That's what we're discussing, right?
Yeah.
In the kingdom, we ain't gonna worry about that. It doesn't apply to us.
Well,
it won't apply to us.
Let me put it to you this way. What woman would not want a prince, a guard, to whisk them away to their fucking mansion? When you put it, I'm not talking about fucking outside Weatherspoons. Man gave her 2 uppercuts, some lousy bread with a dirty dick here. Gave her 2 uppercuts and banged her outside of the... No, I'm talking about, let's keep it in the realm of reality. Who these girls love nowadays? Michael B. Jordan or some shit like that. Imagine Michael B. Jordan come to some gal's yard, right? Picked her up, like, he literally just came, picked her up like this. Yeah. She's like, ooh, you know? Yeah. Picked her up, say, listen, baby, I love you, yeah? I'm taking you, yeah? Boom, dropped her off in the Lamborghini, put her in the Lamborghini, locked the door, went round to the side, and drove off, pulled up to his mansion, pool and everything. And man just started whapping it out, man. Man started whining and dining and whapping it out, yeah? That's a woman's dream right there, man. So in the kingdom, they got them a love man to come and pick them up, no doubt. Because you know when I pick them up, it's in style.
Because I was going to say, man, because these actors and superstars, right, they got fans, right? Thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of fans. You don't think all those women in that fan group wants to be with that?
They want to be taken away. Yeah. That's how, you know, they want to be whisked away. It's called "He took me off my feet." But anyway, we'll get into it. Let's read the law first, and we'll go into it.
All right, it's Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 25. But if a man find a betrothed damsel,
oh, that's the end. Not that one. Oh, you want to start there? You want to start there? Okay.
Yeah.
So if a man find a betrothed, the key word is betrothed, meaning there's already a contract out on this woman. Read on.
And the man force her and lie with her.
Force her. Now, in the act of forcing a woman that's betrothed, trust me, you're not getting it easy. And they even show you that in the movie Apocalypto. I know you're going to say it's a movie, but it's a reality. If a woman's married and she got a man, she ain't going to want no random man touching her like that. And she going to fight. And that means she's going to scratch. And then, so my man going to have to put force for real. Because she's going to fight. She's going to fight it proper harsh. Yeah? So no more than likely, she's going to have signs of black eyes. And because a woman is going to violently try and to get away from that kind of situation. It's just true. Unless man's got a fucking knife to her gut, he's gonna have problems. Yeah.
Then the man only that lay with her shall die.
He only gonna die because he's forced this woman to break this contract. She didn't willingly break the contract. He's forced her. He's raped her. He's raped a married woman, a betrothed woman. So he obviously is an adulterer and he gonna get put to death. But he's not getting put to death because he raped her. He's getting put to death because he had sex with her, period. Because even if she agreed to it, he would have still got put to death. But the fact that he so-called raped her, meaning he took her, he took hold of her, right? And then he forced her, which is a different word, right? Means that she's off the hook. It's more relevant to her than it is to him. Because even if she was like, yo, boss, Yeah, and she was dropping it like it was hot. He was still gonna die. He was, well, I didn't rape her. Well, bro, it doesn't matter. You're about to get raped by the reapers. They're about to rape your spirit. That's what's about to happen.
But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing.
Yeah.
There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death.
She knows, yep.
For as when a man riseth against his neighbour and slayeth him, even so is this matter.
That's right.
For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried. She fought. She, did what she could.
Yeah, she tried to call for help.
Right? And there was none to save her, because there was a man stronger than her. Right? Forced himself. Right? So now to 28.
Wait, and you know what? Let me say this, man. That's why women try to stay within the confines of the community. You know, they trying not to stray into what's known as no man's land. Because when you go out there, you run into strangers. Strangers don't give a fuck about you. This is what can happen when you're out there in the field. You never know, a stranger might come through. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful, especially if you're a woman. But any man, you got to be careful, but especially if you're a woman, you got to be careful in them situations.
That's why
man.
women regard with escorts and
Right.
brothers or family, whoever.
But
you
then
know,
guess
men.
what? You know what they found? What I found out, that in America, the uptick in violence, sexual violence and violence in general about women, is coincides with women's liberation and women being allowed to be out on their own late at night. Basically, women became more adventurous. But simultaneously, you're putting yourself in a more vulnerable position. Because you're out there on roads, even if you're in London, and you look how much, what there's 11 million people in London. You don't know these people. Being out there on the roads, I see women out there free in a moment. But this next man, I don't give a fuck about you. Them man will just do whatever. They'll rob you, even if you're as a man. When you go outside of your ends, especially, you're in danger, bro. Because whenever I go anywhere that I don't know no one, you're automatically in a risky zone. How much more say if you're a woman? That's why
you're willingly taking risks at this point now.
women are supposed to be protected. So that wherever you go, oh, okay, it's cool. I know people over there. I know them over there. Oh, my cousin's there. You know what I'm saying? So they're safe.
You had the account with Susanna with the two elders that with Joseph that basically tried to set up the store, wanted to get in on her and then tried to get her killed. And then Daniel saved her by.
Yeah, them dudes were blasky. So that's why there's a merit in small social communities, man, because it reduces the risk of foolishness like that going down, man. Because when you all know each other or know of each other, it's less likely for things like that to happen. But we live in a society where people, you know what I mean? It's just anyone, man, anywhere.
The world lacks love, man. As much as they talk about love this and love that, this world is cold, man.
You can live in an apartment building and you don't know like 99% of the people in that apartment building, man. It's fucking crazy.
People want to take pockets for their neighbour, let alone care for their life.
You know, still when you walk outside your house and shit.
But anyway, let's carry on to the controversial thing.
So Deuteronomy 22 verse 28 now, right? It says, if a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed.
Right, so if she's not betrothed, meaning there's no contract out on her, there's no covenant, she's not promised to no man. So technically she can be with any man. And there's no sin there. You know? Read on.
And lay hold on her.
Lay hold, meaning he took her. He arrested her. Picked her up, Conan style. Slinged her over the shoulder. You get me? And it don't take a lot to sling a girl over your shoulder, man. You know, not that I've done it, but I'm telling you, women are generally much weaker than men. In some cultures, actually, they would get help. When you read in a lot of cultures, they would go with their friends. Apprehend and take.
And lie with her, and they be found.
And lie with her. So he would arrest her, take her back to the tent or whatever, and then he would do the thing, man. He would penetrate her.
Consummate his marriage.
Usually for a month, and that's where you get the term honeymoon from. For a whole moon.
Because now what he's done is established a binding contract between her and him, and that's why the father has to take note of that now. Like and she, you know, she's not a virgin no more.
Yeah, she could be pregnant. Usually when them things happen, if you read in the history, it's called bride kidnapping. The guy would basically take her for about a month, because in that month there is a chance she could be pregnant, and it's kind of like forcing the father's hand now, because Do you really want to get a pregnant daughter back? Now you might. Listen. I'm not saying you can't. That's your business. Go on.
So then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver.
So if they be found, meaning eventually they find
Comes
out
out to
where
it,
she
yeah.
is, and a lot of times if you go into it, the bride kidnapping, what would happen is like the guy would eventually turn up with gifts, more than that, to kind of appease the wrath of the father. It's like, look, man, you know,
I love your daughter, but you know.
yeah, them kind of things. And another thing you have to remember is what we're talking about is bride kidnapping. The whole purpose why the guy would have done that in the first place was because he wanted to make the woman his wife. And it could just be a case of either he was caught up in his lust at the time, or
I think that's social
he kind of
standing.
knew that, yeah, like, you know what, the chances of this man agreeing to it is
Low.
I don't want to take my chance in it.
Yeah. So he's forcing the father.
He's trying to force the thing. Which, you know, it is what it is, man. That's why you got the Bible tells you got to keep a guard over your daughter. You don't want random fucking uncles rolling up and doing things like this. And you make sure that if she's out of the way, she better have her brother with her. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody.
Yep. So then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife,
She shall be his wife, man.
because he have humbled her.
He has humbled her. And then the Bible tells you that woman can be with any man. And now they got to grow their relationship, and it's between them. And you don't know what that man's going to be like with that woman. Well, look, if he's gone through that much to get her, you no doubt he loves her. You know what I'm saying, bro?
You put it on the
You're
line.
gonna put yourself through all that madness. But you see, these guys can't put themselves in them situations because their idea of relationships is extremely romanticized. It's extremely romanticized, the idea of how relationships form between men and women. It's based upon movies like Love Actually and things like that. But you don't know that could happen, and you come back in 5-6 years, man, and that woman is happily married to the man with his children and all that.
Well, the example that comes to mind is the Detroit. You know, when he took that woman, man, she didn't like him at first. she didn't want to be around him at first, but she caught feelings for him.
Oh, in the movie trailer.
Yeah.
But it happens all the time. It happens in basically that whole thing. There's women all the time that got betrothed to guys that they didn't want to be with. And it happens, and then they get with a guy and they just get over it, man. Because there is going to be an aspect of anxiety when you're getting married, man. And that's why the scripture says about, like, the guy will get married and you take a year off to get to know your wife and you know, break her in and make her feel nice and sweet. And we're not against all that. We're not against that. But we're just dealing with what's in the scriptures, man. But then they took that and said that, oh, we're gonna go rape 9-year-olds. I don't understand. It's just what's in the scriptures, man.
And they always take these examples as well, because obviously that sort of stuff still goes on, arranged marriages and whatever, man. But then they'll pick the worst ones. You know, oh, she's been miserable for the last 40 years of her life because her husband just beats her on a fucking day.
Yeah, but what does the Bible say? The Bible say a man is not supposed to be as a lion in his house and frantic amongst his servants.
Speaks about the duty of a husband as well, like the
Yeah.
duty of raiment.
Can there be bad husbands? Yeah, there can be bad wives too. And two people can agree together and have a toxic relationship as well. That happens. That's called Babylon. What do you want me to do about that? Goodness gracious. One thing I do know is it would be extremely more beneficial for your mother and your father to have a say in who you marry. Because when you're young, you're dumb.
Of Ecclesiasticus 42:9. The father worketh for the daughter. The father work for the daughter when no man knoweth, and the care for her taketh away sleep. When she is young, lest she pass away the flower of her hedge, and being married, lest she should be hated.
Yeah, so as a father, you know what I'm saying, you do worry about your daughters and your daughter's well-being to an extent. You are going to worry about it. It's just natural. What man is going to have a daughter and not care about her? Yeah? So part of caring about your daughter is you do want your daughter to grow up and to get married and have a good man to take care of her. That's retarded as hell. No man ain't going to just well, you might get a man that does that, but most men, you're not going to be like, let me just find the most horrible bread possible and give my daughter to them. That's retarded as hell, man. You guys need to just grow up. You guys need to seriously grow up. And then even when she's married, like, you want the marriage to be good. You want to hear a good report.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't want to hear that your daughter's getting mistreated or anything like that. It's just natural, man. So, but it's just being an adult, man, and dealing with things. My goodness, man, these guys, man. Right, so yeah, so that's it, and it is what it is. And there's different ages. Like, I was gonna go into it, but I want to go ahead into the multiple wives thing. But even in terms of age, when you become a man or you become a woman, right, then the other things that you have are just little legal things that might happen. So there's legal ages in the Bible. So like certain offices you couldn't do to a certain age, because these guys will say, oh, you can't join the army till you're 20, that means you're not a man. No, it just means you're not a man that's eligible for the army.
You ain't full grown yet.
That's called a legal age. Like, so until you're 20, that 20 is a special legal age in the Bible. There's a lot of things you do, like, for instance, you weren't eligible to pay a lot of tithes and sacrifices until you were 20, which makes sense, because when you're below the age of 20, you've just turned into a man. You don't really have a lot of things for yourself. Yeah, so even though you're a man, you're a young man, so you're still kind of underneath your father as you're going through that stage of learning how to be a grown-ass man. The Levitical priesthood, you couldn't perform the office until you were 25. Does that mean you're not a man before 25? No, it just means that makes sense. You need that extra bit of time to learn, because it's a study. So we just have to think. One guy saying, oh, you got to be 20-year-old before a woman gets married. What kind of fucking stupid, retarded shit is that, man? And that shows you not really reading the scriptures and understanding what's going on.
Oh, that's reaching.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, that's stretching the thing. All right. Yeah, the multiple wives thing. I mean, what can we say about that? Right? If a man have 2 wives, we can get the law.
I've got Exodus 21:10. And if you take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish.
So right. To take another wife, an additional wife, because the law was against divorcing and that. You weren't meant to divorce your partners, right? That's something that Moses brought that in because of the contention, right? But you really was meant to stay with the woman you got with, but you didn't stop you taking another wife.
Yeah, of course.
If you wanted another one, so there's a law for that. Certain things that you have to fulfill as a husband still to your other wife. Yep.
Yeah, you can have more than one wife. And then another thing, you have to see things in the modern day. Like I said, everyone sees there's something known as the family business, and business is family. If you really look at even most of these top level corporations, right, who owns and runs those corporations are usually a family. Yeah. Even to this day, family is still business. Yeah, if you go and type in top 10 families in any country, and you'll see that family will have a bunch of people in it, and they're all involved in the same industry or the same company.
What was I say, man? You think a lot of these businesses are named after the family name? Was that just for show?
Yeah.
Johnson & Johnson, you know what I'm saying? Man, after the Johnsons, but
Yep.
They've built their empire out of that. They've got employees that are just nobody, isn't it? But it's based on the family that started it.
And the employees are like servants and slaves. So I think what it comes into is understanding what family is, and not what they say family is in a modern day. Because people think a family is like basically a mother and a father. Well, actually, it's getting worse than that. But a mother and a father and some children, and you randomly raise those children up in some random laissez-faire kind of way where they can do whatever they want to do, and they're gonna grow up and more than likely work for someone else's family or business and make money, and it's very individualistic and very disconnected the way we think of family today. Whereas in the ancient world, they understood that family is really a business. It's a family business, and the head of that business is the father or the granddad or whatever you want to call it. And there's a group of families involved in the family business, which would be some form of workmanship that they do. Like, for instance, I don't know if you can get it, but in the Book of Chronicles, it outlines different families that were known for different things. if you could find it. You know, certain families might be experts in clothes making. Certain family, you know what I'm saying? Certain families just literally just farm and utilize the land that they have, and that's their business. You know, some families might be wine, might be their business. You know what I'm saying? Whatever skill, and then more than likely the children would grow up and learn the expertise to continue that particular business, the family business. All right. And so, what are children really, from a wisdom point of view? Wisdom are children are not only servants and human resources, but they're also long-term investments.
Yeah.
Because you got to put a lot of money and resources into children when they're young, and you really only get benefit from children when they become adults, right or wrong.
Yep.
Like when you have a baby, they're completely useless to you. They're literally draining your resources. It's true. They're long-term assets. Now, a slave, if you buy them as an adult, is a straight-up asset that you could utilize right there and then, and does productivity. What about a wife? A wife is also an asset to you. A wife is your servant. She does her work within the family too, and also brings the ability to produce the next generation. So when you're thinking about just like when you're running a business, you can expand the business, or you bring in the right asset. When you're picking a wife, you want to bring in the right asset. That's why you got to be careful about your wife, or the woman that you bring in to help build your family business, because she's going to impact your investments. Now, nowadays, people they don't think that far ahead when it comes to selecting a wife or having a family. They don't think about that. They're literally thinking about getting some panani. So in their mind frame, the idea of having multiple wives is simply a thing of just lust. Not understanding that as a rich man, building up multiple wives, yes, it's enjoyable, but it's also building your house. It allows you to have more children. It's an extra hand. And as long as you got the resources to support that, that will actually end up being more productive in the long run. Because those children, extra children, grow up and they can work. You have to understand the mindset. But where we live in this Playboy era, people think about it like a Playboy thing. I'm just going out there and going to get as many wives as possible, but with no real wisdom or understanding as to how that is about building yourself and your family. There's no point having 1,000 women, but you're not really utilizing it correctly, because that could destroy you. And there's a lot of men right now who destroy it because they tried to have too many women all at the same time, and they couldn't manage it. And it ended up being what? A negative to them.
Yeah.
When really you only got the resources and the ability to manage that one, and then managing that one good woman would have been more fruitful for you and your family. But you decided to try and line up 8 of them, and now you're fucked. Yeah? Because you weren't thinking business minded. Because it's a business at the end of the day.
The Chronicle.
Yep.
This Second Chronicle 2, I'm starting from straight to the point. Then Ulam, the king of Tyre, swore in writing, which he sent to Solomon, because the Lord has loved his people, he has made thee king over them. Ulam said, moreover, blessed be the Lord, power of Israel, that made heaven and earth. Jump down. 13. And now I have sent a cunning man in due with understanding of Ulam my father, the son of a woman of the daughter of Dan, and his father was a man of Tyre, skillful to work in gold and in silver, in brass, in iron, in stone and in timber, in purple and in blue, and in fine linen, and in crimson, also to grave any manner of graving, and to find out every devices which shall be put to him with thy cunning men, and with the cunning men of my lord David thy father.
Yeah. In fact, here's another example. 1 Chronicles 4:22. And Joachim and the men of Kozebah and Joash and Saraph who had the dominion in Moab and Jeshurbalim, whatever. And these are ancient things. These were potters, and those that dwelt among plants and hedges. There they dwelt with the king for his work. So, like I said, you had different families who had different expertise in their family business, and you grew your family as such. Now, if you're a man of small means, you weren't living like a king. You didn't have 1,000 wives. Nowadays, we got like a guy working in McDonald's and he wants to have like 50 women on the go. But those kind of guys end up staying poor and fucked up, because you cannot spread yourself like that. Yeah, you ain't got the means. Like a lot of men, like, and it's true. A lot of guys find out you can have multiple wives and think that, okay, that's a reason now for you to go out there and just act mad. You gotta have wisdom, bro. Women, you overextend yourself, you could destroy yourself, man. The average man in the ancient world didn't have more than one wife. Some man didn't have no wife. The people that had multiple wives were the nobles, because they had the money and the resources to support that. Because also you got to pay for them wives. You weren't for free like now. You just go for a bar and pick up a woman. You couldn't do that. Like back in the day, you had to pay for one. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to also have that understanding in the thing. People don't realize that it wasn't just a lustful thing or a thing that people just did willy-nilly, and you were just running around and you had some dude with a do-rag running around with $2 to his name with 5 baby mamas running around, and you see what that causes. Am I lying? You see what them families are completely destructive and out of whack.
Because with money wise comes greater responsibilities, man. You have to be responsible for your women, man. You have to be able to upkeep them.
And they start fighting with each other because this one's not getting this and that one's not getting that.
You know,
and this kid can't afford this and this.
So you have responsibility. It's not something you did like off the cuff without much thought. You have to think these things through, man. Can you maintain that? Can you cope with that? Deal with that? If you're not in a position to do that, man, it's not a smart thing to do, is it?
No, it's not.
You know? And this is the reason why rich men had more than one wife, because they had the resources and the facilities to do so.
Yeah. To expand. Because that's really what it is. It's an expansion. Now the scriptures.
It's 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 28. But if thou marry, thou hast not sinned, and if a virgin marry, going back to that scripture, right? She have not sinned, nevertheless such shall have trouble in the flesh. Right, when you get a woman, you're gonna have trouble in the flesh, man. So if you get multiple wives now that you're not really able to deal with, man, you're gonna catch hell, man. All kinds of hell that you're not ready for.
But any man that's ever tried to have 2 or 3 women on the go, bro, it's just long, man. It's the ultimate stress. It's literally the ultimate stress that you're gonna get. Now these dudes that are rich, like these basketballers, they actually can afford to do that stuff. They can afford to do that, and they should be able to.
Like, but they're being told that they can't.
Well, they're told that they can't, but really they should be able to bow. There was one dude I see the other day, I forgot what the guy's name was, and he had both his women there together, and he bought them both the same pajamas or some shit, man. It was crazy. But he should be able, he could live like that, because he could provide whatever's necessary. But anyway, what they always go to about this multiple wives things is the book of Timothy and that. So this is 1 Timothy 3:1. Now remembering that this is spiritual advice for the leadership in the ministry. The ministry, yeah? Remember, the ministry is not going to be forever. The ministry is for now. So it says, this is true saying, if a man desire the office of bishop, he desireth a good work. Right? So the bishop would be like the head of a gathering of Israelites, yeah? A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, and apt to teach. Not given to wine, no striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, but patient, not brawler, not covetous. One that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity.
Because it's difficult to deal with many women and have an office like that.
Yeah.
You're gonna struggle to do that office properly. So it's not recommended that you do that.
Yeah, it's recommended.
Just have one. One's enough. One's plenty of trouble.
One, and it's easier to have a household in order when your household is that small. Come on, it's just common sense. Go on.
The scripture says, he that basically doesn't have a wife thinking about what pleaseth the Most High, things that he can do to please the Heavenly Father. Whereas if you have your wife and women are demanding, you're gonna always be in that mind frame of shit, how am I gonna balance my 2 women's happiness? How am I gonna make sure
Or
that they
3
ain't
or
striving?
4.
3 or 4, yeah.
You're mad. And we've seen it. We've seen guys in the truth, even in this camp, that their downfall was just a bag of women, man.
Yeah.
Bag of baby mamas, man, and bare baby mama drama.
Yeah.
This is, come on, man. That's man can't even get their videos done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, that's not nothing to do with the kingdom of heaven, and that doesn't mean that it's unlawful to have more than one wife. It's not unlawful, but all things are lawful, but not all things are expedient. Now, in the kingdom, you got Isaiah. What's it? Yeah. Right. In the kingdom, we're gonna have multiple wives. One, because we're gonna be kings and priests. Right. Now, I don't even like to put a number because it's up to every man.
Yeah. Even in the,
It's up to you. You know what? Some of you may say.
Bear in mind, we're going to live in for eternity, man. You're going to see
like-
things along the way, innit?
Yeah.
And that's another,
You
and
know
that's
what I'm
another
saying?
thing, yeah. To sit there, yeah, and make a decision.
that's crazy, bro.
So you got one guy say, "I'm only gonna have one wife in the kingdom," bro. You're gonna have one wife
Right,
for
that's gonna
fucking
be.
forever.
For eternity.
Bro, that's a long time to not have to have a change of
Direct.
heart, blood.
Yeah, we'll
You need
see.
to just leave that door open.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying, bro?
You know,
gotta
hey,
leave that
Barry,
door
you're
open.
gonna know this woman inside and out within
Oh,
a lot less time than that.
Yeah,
But you're gonna spend
100%,
this whole time
yeah.
for eternity with this one woman.
leave that road now.
And
Some,
I think you're underestimating the thing, man.
And
some
even-
brothers might say they want 1,000 wives. That's up to that brother. That's not ultimately. Guess what?
Whatever, man.
That's
What
none
it
of
is.
my business.
Yeah, exactly.
How many wives another man wants to have? It's not me and it's not my wives. I'm gonna have the wives that's for me because the Lord is gonna allow me to have what I want to
Yeah,
have.
that's
If the
right.
man want to have 1 billion wives, I mean, I don't know how you're gonna manage that, but that's you. That's your business, man. And if a man want to give you his daughter and have her be the billion from one's daughter, that's his businesses too. But for me personally, I don't like to put a number on it. I'm gonna just live. I'm gonna get to the kingdom. I'm just gonna live. And if it's 2, 3, 4,000, no, just
And you got the laws and separation as well, like where a woman got to be away from you for a period of time when she's, you know,
yeah.
living.
And the thing is now we're very keyed in. When you ain't got something, you kind of like really want a lot of it, innit?
Yeah.
But
Once you have it, it's
let's
not-
be honest now, it's
no,
not
it's
that
not.
deep yet. But they want to make it into a deep thing, so.
But this is the thing. Going back to the understanding of that, things are gonna be different in the kingdom, man. You know what I mean? We're not gonna be grabbing up wives for the sake of it. Yeah, we're gonna have fun and do it, but it's for a purpose too, right? We need to bring back the nation, right? You're here to build your family, your business or whatever, right? You're gonna be on multiple planets, and all. So we're gonna need people, man. We're gonna
It's
need,
gonna take- and people are gonna come.
yeah.
Everything like Rome weren't built in a day. You ain't gonna have 1 billion people in one. You know what I mean? Shit. But
If you got one wife, you ain't doing your duty, bringing back the children.
but you know what, man? If a man wanted to have one wife, that's your business. But the Bible says 7 women, which we're gonna read it. 7 women shall take over. And let's not be honest, no man really wants one wife. Like one is a bit pushing it. If you said you only wanted
Oh, you're
3,
lying to
if
yourself.
you said you only
Alright.
wanted 3, I'd be like, you know what? Maybe man wants to season up. You want 3 good women you can have on rotation.
different
Yeah.
varieties.
But to say you only want 1, bro, you're capping. You're capping for somebody. I don't know if it's your mother or someone that year, but you capping, bro. 'Cause no man is happy with one
That
wife.
man ain't had the urges. Anyway.
That's like, you know, you buy a bunch of wings here and you only have 1, bro. Nah, Rasta, you want more than 1. Nobody wants 1 wing, bro. I'm telling you. I just want 1.
Hey, and in the kingdom, man, like I said, you're gonna have women being thrown at you, man.
Yeah, we gotta have
and
women, bro.
you're just gonna sit, no, I ain't.
Well, you could do that if you want.
If he wants to, you know.
I don't care, but don't tell a next man that they
can't do
can't.
that,
And that's
right.
and this is the crux
You
of
ain't
the
gonna
whole
be
thing.
telling me that.
You can do what you want. If you want to have no women in the kingdom, that's your business. I really don't care. Like, but don't tell a next man. So let's read it in the scriptures, man. I say,
I'm not gonna have that.
listen, fam, if you want to sit in a room and do nothing, that's your business, man.
Anyway, right. It's Isaiah 4 verse 1, right? And in that day, right, so you're not gonna go out to go get them now because it's just not wise, it's not a good idea to do that. Right, you're gonna have problems, right? This is in that day, 7 women, which is just a complete number, right, shall take hold of 1 man.
Yeah.
Who has ordained this? The Heavenly
Lord-
Father
the
done
Lord
it.
is-
Right? So he's telling us, not that we're telling him that, oh yeah, I'm gonna have in this day this X amount of women. No, he's telling us that in that day you're gonna have a bunch of women, man. that I've given you. Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say just on that, like when King Solomon prayed to the Lord for more wisdom, the Lord just threw him more
Yeah, he
women,
gave him
and
the
he
extra
said, yeah,
stuff, man.
take extra women.
He gave it. I mean, ultimately that fucked him up in the end.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, in that days, this is a whole different time, right? But the Lord's gonna give us women, you know, that He's decided that He's gonna give you, man, because they're to be delivered too,
Yeah, we're
right?
not
Remember
gonna
that as well. They're to be delivered too,
Yeah.
right? But the way the woman gets delivered is through the man,
Yeah.
right? So the Lord's gonna give us women according to the Most High's will.
And
Right,
we're gonna
so you-
have more than one.
So you might not even have to refuse that. You know what I mean? Like you're one.
But you're not. If you're of the elect, you're not gonna refuse that. Cause why would you? That's what I'm saying. With this conversation, and I was listening to Elder Yashawan, bro, and it's so childish. It's almost like you don't want to talk about it because it is really a childish conversation that we're having. If you, this realistically speaking, if you get into a situation, right, where you're actually gonna be a prince and a god over the earth, yeah, and man put before you, and this is why it gets childish because we're just throwing numbers out there. But let's just say like there's 3 bomb ass Israelite. Let's just because you guys get emotional about the other. Let's just say there's 3 fine Israelite women, and they're just like, listen, we want to be your wives. And why are we even having this conversation,
And
bro?
they're in agreement. They don't mind.
Why are we even having this conversation? It's dumb. It's just it's even if you say you don't want to, like you don't know what you're gonna do in that day like that. Like it's there for you, bro. Take it, like it's yours. You know what I mean? They be onto you, and it ain't nothing more than when a woman want you like that too.
100%.
They be like, I want you, baby.
And no, these are gifts from the Heavenly Father, man. It's
Come on,
rude.
man.
It's rude to turn away gifts from the Heavenly Father. Right?
It's dumb, man. It's dumb. But anyway,
Crazy.
Right, so yeah, so back here, so in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread. So they're gonna become humble. They ain't gonna be like how they're acting now, right? They're gonna become humble, right? We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name. They want to be joined unto you, unto your family, unto your unit. That's what they want. They want to be married to you, man.
they want it, yeah.
Right? Because they want protection. They want salvation. They want to serve.
They want the God.
Right? So they're gonna want this. You ain't gonna have to force them in that day.
Yeah, we're not gonna have no problems, man.
You know, they're gonna want this, right? So only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach, because you know, like I said, they're being humble now because they're understanding the severity of the situation they're in, man. You know, and their own wickedness and whatever, right? So they're gonna be pleading with you, basically, man, to take them.
Yeah, we're gonna be on the come up, just like when David was on the come up. David had 2 wives, and then as he grew into his kingdom, he multiplied even more wives onto himself. Like we're gonna read it, because when you go to 1 Samuel 30:5, it says, and David's 2 wives were taken captives, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess and Abigail the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. Yeah. And then when you go down into 2 Samuel's, right? 5:13, it says, and David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he was come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born to David. So as David grew into his kingdom and his rulership, he took more wives and expanded his house, and he had more daughters and sons.
Did the Most High ever tell him no to stop?
Well, hold on. I'm glad you said that. 2 Samuel 12:8. And I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if it had been too little, I would have moreover have given unto thee such and such things. So the Lord would have given David even more wives if he wanted them. It's not a big deal. It's not mad.
That's why this is a non-topic, really.
It's a non-topic. I don't care. And if you hear a guy say he's gonna have 4,000 wives, so what, man? I don't really care what he says.
Leave man alone.
That's
Leave
your
him alone.
business, bro. He might only end up with 100. Like, who cares?
Leave man alone.
Who cares, man?
Let man
Like,
dream in that,
But
man.
the fact of the matter is that it's not unlawful according, because there's no law
Against
in the
that.
Bible that says that it says that a man cannot take another man's wife, but it doesn't say you can't take another.
That's right.
And the law speak about if you got 2 wives and one hated. And why did it say 2 and not 3 and 4? Because obviously having multiple wives begins with 2, doesn't it? So,
The same applies.
if it was 3 or 4, it'd be the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
This is the book of Isaiah 60 and 22. A little one shall become a southern, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time, in his time.
So not only are we going to multiply over time, but we're going to multiply quite quickly straight away.
showing you the sex in the kingdom too.
Oh, that's
You know.
no, that's another thing. The guy's saying that we're not gonna have sex in the kingdom. Bro. What are you talking about? Of course we're gonna have sex in the kingdom. It's ridiculous, man. I'm just saying these conversations are new.
How's the little one going to become 1,000? Where's he getting his one? How's he having children? You might say young men, you know, young ones might come with us into the kingdom. Fair enough, but where are they going to get their children from?
Well, the
then?
scripture said the children shall yet play in the streets of Jerusalem, man.
There's only one way to come on the earth, and that's going through what? Men and women.
We're still gonna be men and women living in the earth, man, and we're gonna do things the original way that the Lord decided us, and we was always set up in the earth that we were gonna procreate through sex. That's why when you go into Genesis, let's get that Genesis, the 3rd chapter, it speaks about the law of a man taking a wife. Sorry, Genesis 2. Yeah, a man taking a wife and leaving his father's house, man. And that's how it's going to be in the kingdom. We're going to have sons, and there's going to come a time when we're going to arrange for our sons to have wives.
I say we're not going to be like exactly how the angels are, you know? Because obviously the angels don't have seed, the angels don't have like working organs and things like that. You don't need to pee, you don't need to eat, you don't need to do none of that. But we're going to be doing all that in the kingdom. We're going to be something in between all of that. You know, we're going to have functioning bodies.
Well, we're going to be a seed. Because the promise was given unto a seed.
Yeah.
So if we're not a seed in the earth, then how are the promises going to come true?
Yeah.
Onto generation to generation. So we're going to be giving off generations. Now, we don't know exactly how the thing's going to run to the exact degree. You know what I mean? And in some ways, we can't even put our mentality into that world. Because like I said, we're mortals, man. When you think like a mortal, you think differently, man. First of all, you think everything rushed. You want to rush everything because you're going to die. But when you live forever, man, your mindset changes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so let's get to the kingdom first. But what we do know is we are going to have multiple wives. You get me? And that's the bottom line. And we are going to be definitely going to be getting it in with our wives as well, man. 100%. Otherwise, what they there for? Moving like the unsullied and that. Just stroke my hair. I know. Must put them under pressure still.
This is the book of Genesis 2:24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
That's right.
Commandment given to us.
That's always gonna happen, even in the kingdom, among the heathen and among us. That you're gonna and it's like the brother said. What if you do have, like, okay, let's say you do have like 2-3 wives here, and 1,000 years from now, you decide to get another wife. Why not? And that's another thing that fucks you guys up in the mind. Can a guy that's 1,000 years marry a woman that's 20? See how it all gets fucked up now? It becomes irrelevant. What if you're 1 billion years old and you decide you want to have another wife? Like, what are you going to, oh, well, I'm too old. Okay. She's too young. To a billionaire, someone that's 100 years old is a baby that's young.
The levels is different.
The levels is different, yeah. So when you going into the kingdom, and that's how we were originally meant to be, it makes it even more stupid that you guys want us to go into these conversations, man, because it's really redundant, man. Goodness gracious, man. I was thinking about it. I was like, right, what if when you're like 900 years old and you decide you want to get a wife, well, you're going to get a woman that's 900? You fucking moron. You think there's just going to be a 900-year-old woman just laying around for you?
I mean, they're probably all married off already.
Of course they're married off.
They're married
We're
off.
gonna have to get a
900 years
fresh
of a
thing.
chastity belt.
And you're going to have to bring her under your tutelage, man. What are they going to call it? Grooming or something? Shut the fuck up, man. Listen, the reality is every man wants to groom a woman, man. Now they're going to say I'm dumb, but it's true. Every man wants his woman to see him as the man, as her master teacher, as her master, that she's thinking he knows everything, that she's dancing to his tune. That's how every man wants to manipulate and control a woman. And if you say you don't, you got something mentally wrong with your brain, bro. What do you mean you don't want to control a woman? You damn right I want to control her.
But some of these beta men out there, man, want their women to hold over them, man.
Nah, blood.
You know?
A real man who wants to control her, want to show her thing. I want to be the one to teach you.
Want to run things.
Don't worry, I'm going to teach you how the thing go. Yeah? I'm going to school you. Go on,
Yeah, who's winning? Who's winning?
Yeah,
I think it's finished.
He's finished.
You finished? Are you finished as well?
No, I've got something else.
And then we're going to get into the concubine things as well. because you can have concubines, man. Now, if you don't want to have, listen, and this is why we need to have this conversation. If you do not want to have concubines, no one can't make you have them. This is why we have to have a mature conversation. If you said to me, you know what, brother, yeah, I don't want to deal with no Edomite women.
Fine.
Right.
Your prerogative.
There's no. Can you show me the law that says you have to? There's no law. We're going into the kingdom to be at liberty, not to be in slavery. So it's like if a brother say he don't want to have it, which me personally, I understand that a concubine is a privileged position. A lot of men don't even know that or understand that. They think a concubine is a bad thing. Bro, a woman being a concubine, yeah, is actually,
She got lucky.
that's the best thing that they can hope for.
She got lucky.
Because that's better than being in the field or being in the mines. Right? Even being a house slave is good
Yeah.
compared to being out there in the field. So there's certain places, for me personally, you ain't gonna see no Edomites in my house, more than likely. If you do, it'll be very rare. There'll be just one. I got other heathens that I can have in my household. I don't really need Edomites in my house. For what reason? I don't really want to be around them. But that's me personally. If another brother want to do that, that's his kingdom. You do your thing, brethren, but they're not gonna be in my house. But if you're gonna select heathen women to be concubines, they're gonna be clean. They're gonna be kept. They're gonna be living better than the women that's picking cotton in the field or breaking rocks up. It's just true. It's alright. If the Lord decide that certain women of the heathen are gonna have those privileges, why not? That's maybe they did something, they can get a little bit of ease. Like Ruth, come back in the reincarnation and get a little bit of ease up, man. Maybe she ain't gonna be getting completely murked, because there's levels to punishment.
Yeah.
Not everyone is gonna have the same exact experience in slavery. You know, you just have to keep things real. So some of the heathen women are gonna get the privilege of, even though they're in captivity, they're gonna get to be concubines. And if that's the Lord so decide that, then that's it be. Certain men are gonna have that. Why not? It's not my business. I'm not getting pressured. You man, I want to make it your business. Anyway, go on. let's get that. I want to go back to that concubine thing as well. Let me get that up. Yeah, Deuteronomy 21 and 11. 21 and 10.
This is Deuteronomy 21 and 10. And it reads, when thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and the Lord Yahweh thy God hath delivered them into thine hand.
Which is what's going to happen. Hold that. Get Revelations 19 and 11. We're about to go to war against our enemies and conquer them. We're about to go to war. What's wrong? Oh, why did it turn off?
I don't know. My screen says.
It wasn't turned off. Oh, that came up. Yeah. We're about to go to war against our enemies and conquer them. You got that?
Oh, 19.
In righteousness. Oh, yeah, 10. Not, should be 19, like 11 or 10. Yahweh Shai is coming to go to war. And we're going to conquer our enemies through Yahweh Shai, are we not?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so then that's going to happen. Not now. That's going to happen then. Go on, read on.
This is the book of Revelation 19 and 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called faithful and true, and in righteousness he does judge and make war.
So the Lord's coming in righteousness to judge and make war. And so through the Lord, we're going to conquer these other nations. So once we've conquered these other nations, and we have them in chains and in captivity, as the scriptures say, there's going to be men, there's going to be women, there's going to be children in captivity. Well, what the Lord is going to tell you there is, in righteousness, we're going to read it. If you see a woman among your captives, a virgin woman that's among your captives, and you, for whatever reason, take a liking to her,
Yeah, you can do it.
you can choose to make her one of your concubines in your house. You can have her just as a normal slave, or you can have her as you could choose to upgrade her status to that of a concubine and put pressure on it.
So like Esther in the Babylonian belief.
Esther.
Yeah, he was, he exalted, from being slave to,
Yeah,
to
you could do that, man. Right? Albeit it's gonna be temporary because she's gonna die. What? Yeah, you could do that.
She's gonna get old.
Yeah, she's not gonna be,
Her use of actually would be very limited.
yeah, it's gonna be
Time.
vain, but it is what it is. Cool.
That's it.
I was.
Oh yeah. What did you get? Was that? Oh yeah. But, oh no, I've got it, innit? Deuteronomy 21 and oh no, you had it.
Yeah.
Deuteronomy 21 and 10.
Done. This is Deuteronomy 21 and 10. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and the Lord Yahweh thy God hath delivered them into thine hand, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman.
Right. So you imagine you take them captives, and some of them you take as slaves. So they're gonna be servants. They're gonna be employees as part of your house now. So when you got work to do, these men are gonna be doing it. And that's as simple as these men start making it all crazy. No, you gonna have work to do. I've got a field. The field needs plowing. You gonna go do that now. Or any jobs that my family don't want to do, now you could do the job. Like for instance, there's a when you go into what's the one in Jeremiah where it talks about take the thing and grind meal. Oh, daughter of Babylon. Is that Jeremiah 47? Is it 47? Grind the meal. Is that the one, man? I'm trying to think. Grinding the meal. I think it's Jeremiah 37.
Yeah, 47.
Right, read that real quick. And this is why you gotta know Hebrew culture, which these guys don't want to know. Go on, read that for me, please.
It's Isaiah 47 verse 1.
Yep.
Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. But thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal.
Right, now what does that mean? What was the whole purpose of why it said take the millstones and grind meal? Because grinding meal was reserved in the household for the lowest ranked women. So, okay, if you was a poor person and you were living in, obviously you got your wife and your kids and whatever, obviously you got one wife, innit?
Yeah.
You're down bad, aren't you? You're down all the way bad, yeah? Your wife would get up in the morning and grind the mill, and it's a very arduous job,
Yeah.
right? She got to do that, because who else is going to fucking do it? I ain't doing it, right? Now, if you got now a house big enough that you now have slaves, and so you got servant women, your wife didn't get up and grind no fucking meal. She got up and she might be involved in the baking of the bread, or she might be, but now she has time to do some other work in the house. That's not the base work.
Yeah.
So she would do the grinding in the meal. Or if you had a wife and you had a concubine, the concubine would grind the meal because she would be in the lowest rank in the house.
Yeah.
So if you're a king, that's why it said come off the throne. If you're a king and you got your wives, none of your wives grinded meal. Because your wives had servants, lower level female ranks that would grind the meal. So when you got all these captives, the purpose of those captives is to do the grunt work, the hewing of the wood, going to gather water, hewing wood, so that your family members don't have to do that. They could do other things, other more pressing work. It's just like a business. When you do construction, what do you have? Laborers. You can hire a plumber. You can hire a scaffolder. Now the scaffolder is the skilled man. He gets paid the big money. But what do they normally do? They go down Wicks, see a bag of fucking immigrants down there, and say, "You want work for the day? Give man £20 for the day to be what? A laborer." What does he do when he comes to the site? All the shit that they could do, but it's fucking long. So they're the ones going to fetch cups of tea. All the rubble, they're putting it in the bucket. A man's got to go up and down the ladder with the rubble while my man's laying the bricks. That's a slave system. That guy that's the laborer at the bottom of the rank is doing the bottom of the rank shit. So when we take over the world, we're going to have work to be done. You're going to have hewers of wood and all these different things. When you see these women that are going to be your slaves anyway, you can choose to elevate one of those women to the position of, well, you're not gonna do all the lowest rank stuff, because now your job is basically gonna be to be like a concubine to me and make man feel nice. And you'll get extra privileges other than these other ones, because you're gonna have to be wearing better clothing. You're gonna have to be smelling better. You're gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You're gonna have to be prepared better.
Yeah.
Common sense, bro. So you see one like that, and we're gonna go, okay, you know, this thing here, this Moabite thing, look here, look nice, look good. And the Spirit's telling me that, you know, she could be a concubine for a little while. You know, that's that. Go on.
Says, and seest amongst the captives a beautiful woman, and has a desire unto her that thou wouldest have her. Then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thine
I
house.
just want to say, man, he didn't entice the woman in this one, right? He took her. He just took her.
Oh no, she don't get a choice.
Yeah, she's not got a choice in this night. He took the captive, right?
Yeah, nowhere in there does it mention choice.
It says, and bewail her father and her mother for a full month, and after that he shall go in unto her and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife.
There you go. She's gonna be your woman, but she's a lesser wife. She's not gonna get all the privileges and the blessings of, say, your Israelite wives, but she is gonna get more blessings and privileges than just being a normal everyday slave.
She got no inheritance,
She got no inheritance. Yeah, all of that.
you know, because she ain't a title.
She ain't getting no ceremony.
Yeah.
You probably ain't gonna take her certain places. Like, and no one turns up to a function with a concubine. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know? Yeah, they're gonna probably just stay in the harem. You know what I'm saying? Like, you turn up to with your wife, like, you know, to a function, wouldn't you? That's just how it is, man. And there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's even on, I've got one, the account of Midian, if I can bring that out real quick. This is Numbers, the 31st chapter, verse 16. Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against Yahweh in the matter of Peor, and there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord. Now,
right, let's stop there. The Genesis, because the issue with taking on heathen women, which today, to be honest with you, all women are heathen women, including the Israelite women, because the Israelite women have not been raised under the customs of our forefathers, so they too are heathens. Yeah, you get with a so-called black woman that's a Jehovah Witness. Yeah. Next thing you know, you're a Jehovah Witness as well. It's the same as getting with a Moabite woman, and you become a Buddhist or something. It's no different, right? But generally speaking, in a perfect world, the Israelite woman would be raised as an Israelite, and naturally, marriage is also a form of making bonds and covenants with other houses. So you really only want to make covenants and bonds with your own. But then even now, some of these Israelites, you don't want to make no covenant. but the real issue with making a covenant with these other nations is, one, you don't want to join houses with a heathen. So whereas where you got an Israelite, you are making the father, you get here and say, yo, brother, why go on, you get me? Us, man, the flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone, we're linking up, yeah? Like, that's what it would be. Your houses are being joined together, and you acknowledge that. When it comes to a heathen, you take a concubine, none of that is supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be, listen now, I ain't got nothing to do with your family. You're here now. Period. Like, you're not joining on, your dad ain't coming through and blowing smoke. That's madness, yeah? I don't even want to know your dad. He don't have it, we're not doing no business deals. I don't know, you get me? Like, you ain't one of us like that. There's a separation.
Well, notice there's no dowry in this situation either, man. You ain't gonna find your father and pay dowry, no, you're ours, you know?
Right? Go on. Yeah, so that's the Genesis. The issue is with dealing with the heathen women is when you basically incorporate those women into your culture and start incorporating their culture, and you start following after their ways and be corrupted by their way.
Taking on their sons.
It's not the matter of that you're having sex with that woman or you're dealing with that woman. It's how you're operating, and you're not separating her ways from your ways. So let's get that, man. And that's always been a problem. Going back to the sons of God, Genesis, the 6th chapter, bro.
Oh, 6.
Did I say? Must have said it wrong, right? The sons of God have always had a problem dealing with the women of other nations, and then instead of sticking to our thing, they start incorporating the corruption of them women, because them women are coming with all kind of funky culture and funky ideas, man. Like the passport bros ain't always winning, bro. Them I've seen some of them foreign women be eating frogs and that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, start feeding you frogs, like. Oh, it's good, try it. Nah, Rasta. Hey, you see that video of that woman that was just yamming up them spiders, like dipping them in chili sauce, bro. Hey, the passport bros ain't always winning, bro. I'm telling you, they be going off, bro. Anyway, go on.
It's a book, Genesis 6 and 7 from the top. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Most High saw the daughters of men that they were fair.
Right, they saw the daughters of men that they are fair, because let's keep it real. There's women of the other nations that look good enough. Oh no, where you going off? Oh, the Israelite women, bro. I'm not. Listen, like, calm yourself down, okay? I'm not. We're not. It's just that you just have to be real with yourself, bro. There's Edomite women that look good, star. I'm not even gonna lie to you. There be Edomite women that you would definitely put the pressure on them. There be Moabite women that you put the pressure on. You know, Hamite women that you put the pressure all the way on. Believe me, man. Hey, you see South Africa, bro? Hey, man. Some of them South African things, yeah, they be moving mad out here, fam. Right? So that's just the truth, innit? So it says the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they went in onto them, meaning they married them, but they didn't keep the distinction. They didn't keep the separation. You know?
And they took them wives of all which they choose.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he...
Now when he says the spirit will always strive with man, he's really talking about the sons of God here. Because notice who he's talking about. The sons of God. So the problem the Lord already had was the sons of God. And he's telling you, look, man, my sons, the sons of God, they started dealing with the women from these other nations. Then what happened? They started doing madness. They started following after the way. Yeah? I know one of the Jake I work with, he got with one of these Edomite women, and then I see a man with a picture wearing makeup. And us man were like, yo, what? Like, we didn't wear makeup, fam. Oh, well, you know, she had some LGBT friends and I went round there. So, see what I mean? Yes. See what I mean, man? Yes. What are you doing, bro? Oh. You got to stand up and tell her, listen, I don't run that joke. But, you know, to appease the woman, man, end up doing madness. Putting on makeup and that. Okay, go on.
For that he also is fresh, yet his day shall be 120 years.
Mm-hmm.
There were giants in the earth.
The word there for giants is Nepalia, if I'm not mistaken. That's the Nepalia, right? Yeah. Where they say Nephilim. When you look at the actual meaning of that word, right? The word there is it means fallen one. Like an apostate. Those men were apostates. They were out of here, man. Those children that were produced, they were moving heathenistic. Yeah. Go on.
There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Most High came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And Most High saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth.
The wickedness was great in the earth. Why? Because his sons were dealing with these other nations, corrupting themselves and corrupting their children that they were having with the women in these other nations. Just like what was happening in the book of Nehemiah. It's the same thing. Just like what was happening with the dude and the what's it called? Was it Phineas? When he javelined the dude, he had the Midianite woman, and the man had to put the javelin through him. That was Phineas.
Sounds right.
Was it Phineas? And then the Lord gave him an everlasting priesthood.
Yes.
Because of his zeal. Man started dealing with the woman of the other nation, started worshipping their gods, man. And so what would have been the children would have been like? The children would have grew up worshipping after their mother, because the mother is
Yeah,
like
Phineas.
raises the children at first, doesn't it? Start putting madness into their brain. Putting that heathenistic, demonic stuff. Was it Phineas?
Yeah,
Right. That same thing happens, man. Solomon, it happened with Solomon. Solomon dealing with the women of the other nations,
building up
and he
idols.
started. So, what was the actual sin of Solomon? Not that he was having sex with the women of other nations, but that he
Certain-
corrupted himself with their doctrine. But if you do it properly and have them as a concubine and put them in their proper place, there's nothing wrong with that. Just like Moses. Moses had his woman, the Ethiopian woman, in her proper place. And she didn't turn him away from the Most High. In fact, I guarantee you, she was worshipping the Most High. Because that's how you're supposed to do it. They're supposed to come, they're supposed to be stepping
their
how
ways
you're
in,
stepping.
yeah.
Like Ruth. Yeah? Ruth is an example of that. Ruth worshipped the Most High. Not coming with Chemosh, the god of the motorbikes and all that business there. You get me? Go on.
And that every imagination of the thought of his heart was only evil continually.
Right, so get Deuteronomy the 7th chapter. So when we go into Deuteronomy, they like to pull Deuteronomy 7th chapter. Yeah, because them Canaanites, they were disgusting. Them Canaanites, the men, the women, all of them, yeah, they were working the most odious works of witchcraft, and they was on the judgment, and the Lord told us not to have nothing to do with them, because they were completely out of the way. And what would have happened if they would have started taking wives of them people? You would have brought that sickness in amongst our people, and it wouldn't have been long till Jake was doing the exact same thing that they were doing. So he said, look, man, leave them man where they are, just cut them off. Don't even have them man around no more.
And that ended up being the problem. We didn't get them all. We didn't do away with them all, man. And so they infected us, you know?
It's a book of Deuteronomy. I'm start from 11. Thou shalt therefore keep the commandment and the statute and judgment which I command thee this day to do them, wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to this
Where are you
judgment.
reading from?
11.
11, it's right at the top, isn't it?
Okay.
Make no covenants with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What was the one you were still holding again?
It's Numbers 31, where the Lord basically told Israel to go into Balaam and kill the.
Yeah, okay, we're going to come back to that.
Yeah.
We're going to come back to that.
This is the book of Deuteronomy 7:1. When the Lord thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and has cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them.
Right, so this was a special case because if I remember correctly, there's laws in there on how to deal with going to war with other nations, and if they basically submit themselves, then you're supposed to accept the submission. And you know,
And spare them.
I'm sure.
But you have to.
I forgot where that was in the law. I got to find it. But these people, the Lord specifically wanted it. He said, yeah, don't make no covenant. Even if man come to you and try to say, oh, no, like, it's cool, we're going to make, no covenant, no negotiation, is pure smoke. And that was specific to these Canaanites at this time. All right? That doesn't apply to every heathen for all time. It was just then. Because didn't Solomon have agreements with Tyre?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I got what you were talking about now. It's Deuteronomy 20. This is Deuteronomy the 20. For like 1 second. Deuteronomy the 20th chapter. I'll go to the point. This is verse. I'll start from verse 2. So like it's all first, I'll start from the top. When thou goest out to battle against thine enemies, and seest horses and chariots and the people more than thou, be not afraid of them, for the Lord Yahweh thy God is with thee, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be, when ye are come up nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people. Let me go to the point. So it says in verse 10. It says, one second. I was getting the blue note. Deuteronomy 20 and 10. It says, when thou comest nigh unto a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. And it shall be, if it make thee an answer of peace and open unto thee, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto thee, and they shall serve thee. And if it will make no peace with thee, but will war against thee, then thou shalt besiege it. And when the Lord Yahweh thy God hath delivered it into thine hands, thou shalt smite every male thereof with the edge of the sword. But the women and the little ones and the cattle and all that is in the city, even the spoil thereof, thou shalt take unto thyself, and thou shalt eat the spoil of thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh thy God hath given thee.
So that was the rules of warfare that the Lord set up, and that's a general rule. If you go to war against another nation, when you get there with your army, if they say, oh, we give up, then, and they want to pay the penalty, pay the tributary, then they have to open up the gate, bow themselves down, and you put them under that pressure. But if they decide they want to really bring it that way, then when you go in there, it's no joking thing. You're going to go in there, murk off all the men, and everyone else is going into captivity straight off the bat. But with the Canaanites, it was like, nah, that's not even going to happen. That's not even an option. Go in there and murk. There ain't no peace dealings going on. So that's even a more particular and special situation. Go on. Utterly destroy and spare not, man. Whether they want to wave the white flag or not, they better just run. Evacuate.
And when the Lord thy power
God loves everyone.
And when the Lord thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them.
Don't show mercy to them, no mercy.
Neither shalt thou make marriage with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son.
So these were specific instructions for the specific event
Which
that took place.
you're not supposed to give your daughters onto heathens anyway.
No,
Right? But then again, if you're in captivity, we look at the situation that you might have to, because you're in captivity. Because then you could look at Esther. People forget that when you're in captivity, things kind of change. What are you gonna do? Like, you know? That's a good question for these morons. Look at what Esther married the Persian king.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do about that then? Because the Lord orchestrated that to happen, and through that the people were delivered. So what was Mordecai was, no, you know, it's against the law, like, you know. Well, when you're in captivity, it's different. In an ordinary situation, you wouldn't give your daughter onto no heathen man. But when you're in captivity, you might be in a situation where that's what it's gonna have to be.
When you have no power, no authority.
And then when she marries him, she gotta obey him. That's her husband. But in ordinary situation, you wouldn't do that anyway. But the Lord said, definitely, strictly with these guys, there's nothing now. Go on. Go on.
nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son, for they will turn away thy son from following me.
For they will turn away thy son from following me,
that may serve other powers. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly.
The Lord's a jealous power.
right? And why did the Lord say He actually would be angry with you? Because you turn around and worship the idols. That's the key to the situation.
So as long as that doesn't happen,
There ain't
it's
no
fine.
sin. There ain't no sin.
You know.
But these guys, they don't understand that. They lack that understanding. And then they try coming with bullshit about the children are mamzers, which they don't understand that a mamzer is an illegitimate child, and the way you're illegitimate is that your father is not of the right lineage. A mamzer is a tear. That's what a mamzer is. But these same morons can't escape the fact that Judah was dealing with a Canaanite woman. That the entire lineage of Judah came from a Canaanite woman. What do we do now then? So then the whole tribe of Judah is not Israelite?
It's for Arab,
Manasseh,
yeah, Ephraim.
Ephraim, they're not Israelites because their mother was from another nation. Now you might not like the idea of your children's mothers being another nation, but you know what? I say to you again, no one ain't telling you you got to do that, bro.
Ruth wasn't Moabite, was it?
Rahab the harlot. You know, so all these things that these guys are making into big deals, all you need to do is just sit down and have a proper read of the scriptures and have a real conversation around it, and it all goes out the way. Like, why are we even discussing? The Bible tells you that we're not going to worship idols in the kingdom.
So we ain't gonna worry about
So we ain't going to have to worry about that, man. We're going to have concubines, we're going to have wives, okay? We're going to keep the laws according as it is. Our daughters are going to get married off. There ain't going to be no issues. I can see that's going to happen. The Lord said he's going to wipe away all tears and all that. So what is your problem? I don't understand it, man. You worrying about rape? Nobody's raping anyone. Like, what's going on? Show me where that's been ever recorded, even in Great Millstone. But you keep bringing it up like it's something that
you have to address and deal with. You have to deal with.
Like when you first bring a brother to the camp, brother, you could. Your initiation, you better go grab someone.
Be that Benjamin.
Come on, man. Yeah, if you brothers got anything, let's keep it going, man. We bring it out, man.
This is Joshua the 6th chapter, and let me start from like
And before you say that, even the whole idea of how to deal with the wicked, delinquent delinquent children. What does the Bible say should be done to a child that strikes their mother and father? Do you know how many young men beat up their mother nowadays? Do you know what the Bible says, or try and beat up their father? You know what the Bible should say should happen if a child smites their mother or their father? Do you know what happens? Can we do that in the society? And if you say that's what's meant to happen, the majority of people are not going to agree with it because it's going to be different to what they're used to. What are you supposed to do if your son is gluttonous, hanging around, don't want to listen to what you got to say, ain't trying to take no tellings, and that's one of these bad breeds used? You're supposed to, according to the law, you put that youth to death. Like, he ain't going juvenile. He ain't going juvenile. You're getting stoned and put to death. But obviously we're not going to do that in this time, but in the kingdom of heaven, that's what will happen among the heathen, because we know our sons are not going to be like that. But what if among the heathen you have someone that's got a son like that? Then that's what the judgment is going to be. You know, you might not like it, you might not like the idea of it, but that's just what judgment is.
I got the account of Jericho when the Lord told Israel to basically kill off everything and save Rahab, and then you had Achan that took the Babylonian garment, the accursed thing that was in the land. Joshua 6 chapter verse 17, and the city shall be accursed, even it and all that are therein, to the Lord Yahweh. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. And ye in any wise keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest ye make yourselves accursed, when ye take of the accursed thing, and make the camp of Israel accursed and trouble it. But all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron are consecrated unto the Lord Yahweh. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord. So the people shouted, and when the priests blew with their trumpets, and it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, that the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat. So the people went up into the city, and every man straight before him, and they took the city, and they utterly destroyed all that was within the city, both man and woman, young and old, and ox and sheep and ass, with the edge of the sword.
Now hold on, if that happened today, you know what that would be called? If that event happened today, Esau will be on the news demonizing the Hebrew Israelites like we're the worst thing that ever existed, and that'll be a war crime. Think about what we're reading here. That's a war crime according to the today's standards. They went up in there, right, and every rascal
Everything
thing
that
that moved, dead. So what? You think it was only adults that was up in there? You think there weren't children in there?
And killed the animals too, everything.
Blood clot. Cursed. Is that nice? It's not nice, man. But it's what's in the scriptures. So we have to digest it and deal with it, man. So then your idea of morality, a lot of you would have, like if you go to the average Christian, they'll have a problem with that. Even though they'll read it, they'll actually not even think about what they're reading. So then when we're saying we're going to put these Edomites in slavery, we're morally wrong. Bro, have you read the scriptures?
That's it. And the Lord told him to do it as well. He gave them the clear instructions. Don't spare nothing.
Don't spare not any. That's talking about children, man. People. People, actual people were up in there, humans. And they went up there and the man them got told, listen, you going in there, you got to do the
Special
job.
ops mission, man.
You got to go in there and do the job, spare, and they,
Just genocide.
yes, and it ain't nice because you're chopping people up.
Yeah.
You thrusting people through.
Yeah. Rahab was super lucky that day because
Hey,
Because you take all the
Hotel
men, man,
Rwanda.
you take out the nation, man. You take out all the men. Because these women can only produce the seed of the captives. You know what I'm saying? Of the Israelites in this case.
well, they took out all the women as well. I'm sure it said.
yeah, killed
is
it.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
killed the
Oh,
women.
everything-
Only Rahab and her household.
Only Rahab and her household
Jericho.
survived.
Like,
Jericho.
yeah.
Only Rahab and her household, man, was spared.
Yeah.
That's a war crime right there, according to Esau's so-called morality, his fake morality. But
Yeah.
dropping a nuclear bomb on a city is cool. You know what I mean? It's a joke thing.
It even goes deeper. It says like verse 20. Verse 23 says, and the young men that were spies went in and brought out Rahab and her father and her mother and her brethren and all that she had, and they brought her out all her kindred and left them without the camp of Israel, and they burnt the city with fire and all that was therein. Only the silver and the gold and the vessels of brass and of iron they put into the treasury of the Lord Yahweh. And Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive and her father's household and all that she had, and she dwelt in Israel even unto this day, because she hid the messengers which Joshua sent out to spy out Jericho.
So this, what you find out the nastiness of the scriptures is the scripture is real life, man. It's a real serious business.
Events that took place.
Yeah, it's not what they call it. The Bible is not a U rating. The Bible is an 18 plus, if you want to put it that way. It's rated R. Right? David really did chop off Goliath's head, man, and then wave the head around like it's a Mexican cartel video. This is reality, man. But you see, Christianity is kind of weird. It skews people's minds, man, and watered things down so that people can't understand the reality. So when we talk about things like that we're gonna have multiple wives, people think we're crazy and it's outlandish, but it's not. It's just what's in the scriptures. Talking about having a concubine is crazy in our language, but it's just reality. Servants, yeah, why not?
This was a custom of the East back then, in ancient time.
It was a custom of everywhere.
Yeah.
It was a custom of everywhere. Most of these things are even, and then these guys act crazy, and it really is still a custom now, but they do it in a different way. Esau does the same things. Like Esau's got sex slaves and concubines and all these things. Like a lot of these elite men, they got wives all over the place, man. They do the same thing, but they hide it, man, and put it under a different name.
We call it a mistress society.
Yeah, mistress society. They still got slaves, which you think an employee is. An illegal immigrant, like they run all that. They do all the same stuff, man, and then they try to demonize it when we're talking about it in righteousness, though. Because we have laws to govern these things that we're gonna do.
This is from the book of Judges, right? Bear in mind, these men that you read in Judges are men that were exalted by the Heavenly Father to lead Israel, into salvation, right? And this one's specifically is Gideon, right? So Judges 8 and 30, and Gideon had 10 sons, right?
That's crazy.
Again, right?
That can't be from one woman.
Oh no, it's not.
That can't be from one woman,
Oh,
blood.
no.
Otherwise,
That's impossible.
she was under
Oh, no.
pressure.
Honestly.
Bro.
Milking her.
33 score and 10.
Yo, that's crazy.
40, right? No. 3 score and 10 is 70, right?
Yeah, 70.
70. Yeah. So
70.
he didn't have more. He didn't have one woman off that, bro. Otherwise, his woman is dead. Like
It's so mad, yeah. They don't
Labor
actually,
70 times.
they don't actually give a
witchcraft,
number.
blood. Witchcraft, like some odd man, blood.
Honestly. Even if she had triplets every time, it would still be impossible. Like,
Bro, triplets every time. She was under pressure, blood. Wow.
Right, so Gideon had 10 sons of his body begotten,
that's
right?
mad.
For he had many wives.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
What was the problem, man?
It's not a problem.
You know, the Lord never said he couldn't. In fact, the Most High blessed him with many wives to have many children.
There's another law.
Though I do think that story ends up with his children end up being killed off by one of the brothers or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Was that Gideon?
Is that Gideon?
I think that might be another one.
It was someone with a lot of sons though. But I was thinking it might be Gideon still. Yeah, I think it might be Gideon because he was the one that had a lot of sons anyway. But anyway,
That's mad.
as it goes on, right? Yeah, because one of the sons was covetous as well. Verse 31, it said, and his concubine. So he had many wives, and his concubine, right? That was in Shechem. She also bare him a son. So his concubine bare him a son. Guess what? The son's in Israelite too. You know. So he had many wives, and he had a concubine. And this is someone the Lord exalted.
Yep.
You know, He put him in that position. Right, and there was nothing wrong with that.
No man was ever.
He never gave in to his
admonished
wife.
for that. Yeah.
He never gave in to his wife and started worshipping idols and that.
Yeah, it was fine.
Right?
It's all good.
Yep. It says here, and Gideon the son of Joash died in a good old age.
It was fine. It's good.
Lord was happy with him. You know what I'm saying? He died in a good old age, man.
Yeah, I got Judges 5 and 30. It says, have they not sped? Have they not divided the prey? To every man a damsel or two. Yeah? So you might get that damsel and then but the thing is you might get a damsel to be a servant in your house, but you can also upgrade her to a concubine. That's what it is. And so that's how it's going to be in the kingdom. When we get all our slaves, we can upgrade our female slave to a concubine if you so want to.
And I've got another one here from Judges 11, right? Because you know, you guys, you can't deal with harlots, right? Because that's some sort of sin, right? Some sort of crime, right?
Yeah, well, it's not adultery, man, because she ain't got a husband.
This is it, man, right? This is Jephthah now, right? It says, now Jephthah the Gileadite was a mighty man of valor, and he was the son of an harlot. So what happens now? So the son of a harlot now, wow. That means someone dealt with the harlot. Gilead dealt with the harlot, right?
Yeah.
Right, and produced Jephthah.
Yeah.
Right? Is that a crime? Is that a bad thing now? Now his standing in things wasn't looked upon fondly.
Yeah, your man's a harlot.
You know, so he didn't have the best reputation per se.
Which is why it's probably not the best idea to be getting harlots.
Yeah, you're not going to garner the best respect from
you do,
that.
innit? Yeah, because you're at the end of the day, your heritage goes back to your father anyway.
That's right.
Yeah.
But guess what? That son of a harlot got exalted.
Yeah.
You know, he ended because they had the regular Israelites, put it that way.
Yeah,
They had to humble themselves to him.
Yeah.
You know, because the Messiah set him up.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to eat the humble pie, man. It's like, oh, you know, you're son of a harlot, man. Look, we need your help, bro. You know what I'm saying?
At the end of the day,
you're like us. You're one of us.
Some women, they have to go to harlotry, bro. That's a reality of life. If you don't have, which some people choose to do it for their own reasons, because mostly they're damaged individuals. When you really look at it, most women that become prostitutes are either extremely damaged because of a traumatic experience they've experienced in their childhood, or they're extremely impoverished and vulnerable, and they've been trafficked or whatever, or they have to do it to make ends meet because they don't have another way to go. And that's just how it is. I was watching one thing one time. This woman, she was from Venezuela, I believe, and she fled across the border to Colombia or something like that. And good-looking woman too. And basically with her, what happened was she fled to Colombia. But obviously when you get to Colombia, there's no fucking welfare system. and nobody cares about you. You're an immigrant, right? And the reason why she fled is because in Venezuela they were having problems, and her husband, so she had a husband, the husband got clapped by some local gang members or whatever. So she's now a widow with these children. So she's fled. Now, if you're fleeing, that means that you didn't have no help. You've had to just get out of the situation. And when she got there, how's she gonna eat? How's she gonna provide for her children? So they're interviewing her. Well, do you know how? In the room, she was in the room she was living in. She was in a room barely big enough for them, but it wasn't just her. It was her and other like 2 families in this one little room. Well, how do you think they paid to stay in that room? Her and the other women she was staying with, they had to hit the block. Now you could see on her face, she wasn't proud about it. But what can I do? If she ain't got no husband and no one ain't really helping her out, she gotta go and do what she got to do. Now, is she committing adultery? No, she don't have a husband. She's getting into a temporary arrangement with the men, exchanging the vagina to then no one's marrying her, they're just exchanging money for the vagina. And it happens, man. And if a man goes and does that, he's not committing adultery with that woman. That woman does not have a husband, and he ain't trying to be a husband. It's just a simple transaction. Just like when Judah dealt with that the woman thinking she was a harlot and offered her the goat. Now this is just the reality of the world. Now if no one ain't saying you would want your daughter to be a harlot, because nobody does. And no one ain't telling you again that you need to go deal with a prostitute. I've never dealt with a prostitute, and I probably never will, because bro, I'm down bad. I ain't got money to be. Listen, you think I've got time to be giving a woman my harder 60? I got kids, man. I can't be giving no one £60 just for a quick ride. I'd rather hold out till my woman feel like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I meant to do, bro? So I'm probably never going to be in the position to be paying no woman for no thing. But what do you think it is when man go out to the club and meet a woman and then you just start popping her?
Yeah, it's the same.
It's the same thing. Now but you're just prearranging the thing. You get with a woman, right? Man go out there and get with a woman now, and she been with like 10 men before you. She ain't got no husband, man. Right. She just out there moving shit for the streets, blood, and you're just having your turn. When you're done with her, next man are gonna take her. That's the average woman nowadays, blood. These women out here are not wives; they're for the streets.
Establishing no relationship.
Yeah, they've got different men for different purposes.
Wanting children with you and that.
Yeah, they're not. You're not married to this woman. You're just there having your ride, yeah, and then whatever the case may be. But these guys are trying to be over righteous when it's in the scriptures, man.
If you got like a willing woman, that was a deal with a couple, isn't it? But with these hoes out here, man, they're just looking for the next Tom, Dick, and Harry, man.
And that's what they're doing. But you don't try and like being over righteous, like as if we're saying that everyone needs to go out and buy a prostitute, bro. You ain't got. It's not that. It's just that if you deal with a prostitute, you deal with a prostitute. It's a quick transaction and you're out of there. And these are the same men that run around. I know they sneak pussy, man. So fuck out of here, blood. You are hypocrites. I know you've snuck some pussy, blood. I know you've had some gal at the side at one point that you work with, and you hit her a few bang times, and then you let her go. What's the difference? You take a girl to the cinema and you whap it out for a while, and then you just like, oh, I ain't dealing with her no more. What's the difference between doing that and just paying for the money up front? And it's no difference. But you guys are hypocrites, man. They're fucking hypocrites at the end of the day. It is what it is. Now, for you women out there, we're not saying that that's something good for you to do because it's dishonorable for you. It's better to have a husband. But guess what? Some women, they can't get a husband. They fall into those situations. It is what it is. Some gal right now, the OnlyFans is the only way they could pay their rent. Well, do what you got to do, man. That's your business. It's not mine. I'm not your husband. And unless you're gonna go pay for a rent, then you just really just fucking let her get on with it, mate. These fucking over righteous dudes. Okay, go pay these hoes rents then.
Since you're so fucking righteous, all these prostitutes that's out there on the street, yeah? If no man weren't going and giving them money for the
They wouldn't be
panani,
doing
what the fuck are they gonna do? Some of these girls, the only skill they got is their ass anyway. They gotta be in the strip club. They, that's how they're paying their rent. Well, guess what, man? You go pay their fucking rent then, and not get nothing out of it. Go do that. You fucking, since you're so over fucking righteous, you know they ain't gonna do that.
That's it.
Then you gotta let them get on with it. It's part of the economy, unfortunately. Now in the kingdom, it's not gonna be a necessity for our any of our women to be doing that. But that comes with, a lot of times, prostitution and things of that nature go hand in hand with being low and being in poverty.
The Bible says your daughter shall be hallowed in the street.
Why? Why was it saying that?
Because we were being
Because they were
captivity.
conquered.
Yeah.
And when you're conquered and you're down bad, guess what? Your women fall susceptible to that. You hardly find a woman from a middle class, upper middle class a background
That's
going
true.
into fucking prostitution. Because they don't need to. It's mainly those are the things that people that are down bad. Like
Yeah.
you go to all these third world countries where you get sexual tourism, men and women. Why is it so prevalent in them places? Because them people are poor and they're looking for the money, dog.
Yeah.
Some of them they're desperate for the money, so they do it. The Jamaican man banging up all kind of women for money, getting used like prostitutes. The women the same way. Why? Because it goes hand in hand with being down bad, man. And people come and they pay up the money.
Curses.
The curses, man. So you guys are hypocrites, man. It is what it is. Nobody really be wanting to do that. Go on, man.
It's got this. This is on the women. 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter, verse 8. I say therefore to the unmarried widow and widows. Let me read that again. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn.
Right. Now, if you were in a way where you're a widow and you can get the support that you need, then yeah, good. But not everyone can get that support, man. That's the reality of life. Some people, they get into a bad way where no one ain't helping them, so they got to help themselves. And so sometimes they do things that's maybe unsavory. If you're a widow and your husband's died and you're down bad and the family ain't trying to help you and you're out there on your own and you got to try and make men eat and you got to get bread, then certain women, they had to turn to prostitution. They got to get it how they could get it.
Yeah.
It is what it is, man. It is what it fucking is. But fuck these dudes anyway, man. Let's get in. If brother's got other topics, we'll go into. If these dudes want to continue making these points, fuck them, man. We're grown men over here, man, and we ain't got time for all that emotional shit and stupid fucking discourses and backward and forwards, man. We're just gonna say it like it is, and if you don't like it, we're moving on, man. You dudes can sit there worrying about rape and all that kind of bullshit, man. Fucking idiots, man. We've explained it already. The mark MOTB, we've explained it perfectly. We've done it perfectly. And you ignored everything we said and tried to switch on to a different topic, man. Bitch ass niggas, man. Fuck that, man. Come on now, let's get some precepts out before we get out of here. We'll go on to some other topics.
We got Ezekiel 9. Ezekiel the 9th chapter, I'll start from verse 2. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the high gate which lieth to the ward of the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with a righteous inkhorn by his side. And they went in and stood beside the brazen altar. And the glory of the Lord Yahweh of Israel was upon them from the cherub, whereupon he was to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And the Lord Yahweh said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof.
That's the elect. That's only a specific group of men that are going to be marked, and that mark is the mark of exemption. That's those whose names are written in the book of life, man. And that's what this ministry is all about, sealing those men. And what you're gonna find out is some of these dudes that's calling themselves Hebrew Israelites, they don't have the mark, and they're gonna be destroyed, man. And that's why they're constantly gonna be bucking up, and they're constantly gonna be bringing contention. Now, some of them might, you know, before the end, humble themselves and get right, you know. And there's probably people in that follow these different camps. We're not gonna say it's impossible, and if they do, that's beautiful, because the scriptures speak about, you know, the sinner being, you know, rejoicing when you gain a brother, because we want to gain these guys. We want these guys to get it right, but the truth of the matter is that not everybody's gonna get it right. Some guys are just gonna be contentious. They're gonna be childish. They're gonna be emotional until the day that they're destroyed. They're sealed to being like that. And no matter how much time you break it down, no matter how slowly you and methodically you go into it, and how much information, because I'm telling you this for free, on my channel alone, I've done exhaustive breakdowns of the flower of the age, gone into all kind of information, all kind of articles and books and history, and guys still come back with the same bullshit. Them guys ain't never gonna get it. They don't want to get it. They're blinded.
Isaiah 60, it says gross darkness then upon the eyes of the people.
Darkness. And so they just come back with the same childish bullshit over and over and over again, and it's nothing new. Even though we've dealt with it, even though we show the history, they come back with the same bullshit arguments, man. And we have to suffer them. But the day's gonna come when we ain't gonna have to suffer them, because the Lord is gonna bring judgment and death, and these guys are gonna be gone, and we're not gonna be hanging around in the kingdom discussing these things, because it's not gonna be any need to discuss it, because what's understood ain't gotta be explained. We ain't gonna have to be, oh brother, did you know you can have, brother, can I have, you go, what the fuck, man? How many words? Stupid. People gonna look back at this time and be like, right, is this what we were really arguing about? Whether the earth is flat and all this shit. Fucking hell. What's going on?
Proverbs 4 and 14. Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it and pass away. Verse 19, the way of the wicked is as darkness. They know not at what they stumble.
Them men are blinded, man, by their own emotions and their own pride. They're blinded by their own emotions and their own pride. Because we've broken it down. I'm watching videos, I see brothers spend a whole hour and they're just bringing it out correctly. I'm like, I don't see anything wrong with this. This is perfect. And then these guys come back and they're just chatting rubbish. Fuck them. Go back to go back where you was. Was it Ezekiel 9? Yeah, man. So they're not going to receive that mark, and they're just going to be destroyed, man.
Yeah. It says, go, set a mark upon the foreheads of the men, that sign that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he sent in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women. But come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin in my sanctuary.
Begin in his sanctuary, man. It's them guys that are calling themselves Israelites and saying that they're the men of the Lord. Some of them men are gonna have to get wiped out. Because this isn't a joke. This isn't a joke, and the way these men are behaving, it makes no sense. Because we know it's spooky. It's really them lot under some spiritual pressure somewhere, because they're being crazy. How you got man arguing about whether, trying to say we're gonna have one wife in the kingdom when the scriptures is expressly clear? That's how you know you're dealing with a madman. You're dealing with someone that's crazy. What are we gonna argue about next? Whether the sun rises or what are we gonna argue about here? It's madness. Yeah, go on.
It's Titus chapter 1 verse 13 says, this witness is true, wherefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith, not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth. Unto the pure all things are pure, but unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and conscience is also defiled. They profess that they know the Most High, but in works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate.
So they start slandering, man. That's one thing you know notice about this dude. They start slandering the brothers of Great Millstone, man. They start slandering the apostles and elders, man, and bringing up a false report about us and our character, man. All because what? We're rebuking them and telling them the truth. It's mad, man.
Another quick one here. Sirach 21 verse 12. He that is not wise will not be taught, but there is a wisdom which multiplieth bitterness.
That's right, man. He that is not wise will not be taught, man. These dudes ain't wise, man. And the worst thing about it, they start calling themselves elders, man. They're trying to play Israelite. They're trying to play Israelite. But this ain't no fucking game, man, because the Most High, as we've been reading, gets real spooky, man. He really be having people getting chopped up and burnt and destroyed in all kind of terrible ways, man, for fucking up, for doing bullshit. And when you're spreading lies and deceit and confusing the congregation and creating corruption, the Lord takes that serious, man. He spoke about the pastors, what, Jeremiah the 23rd chapter, that scatter the sheep. The Lord don't like that, man. And it says in what, Ezekiel, is it the 12th chapter, either the 12th or the 14th, about if a prophet lie.
Yeah.
Go on.
Real quick, because even just on that point, like you had the sons of Aaron that offered when we was in the wilderness, and the Lord set fire down from heaven to consume them because they offered an unfamiliar sacrifice in a way that he didn't like it. And that's the kind of wrath that the heavenly, I'll read it anyway, just real quick.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Leviticus 10:1, and Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them censer and put fire therein and put incense thereon, and offered strange sacrifice before the Lord Yahweh, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from the Lord Yahweh and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. Then Moses said unto Aaron, that is it that the Lord spake, saying, I will be sanctified in them that come nigh me. So they tried to basically unsanctify the Lord's dwelling place. So he killed them instantly for that. And they were Aaron's children, man. So,
yeah, because they didn't do things properly. And that's why we're warning you. We're warning you, and the thing is, you don't even realize it, but the Lord is preparing your destruction, and you're not going to have to be able to say, oh, you weren't told. Because the Lord is having you being told. So you can't have no cloak. You can't say, oh, well, I didn't know I was going off. No, well, I sent men to tell you was going off. But you chose not to. You chose not to listen to them. And then so now when your destruction cometh, what can you say? You can't say brothers didn't painstakingly sit there and try and correct you. Multiple brothers, multiple videos.
Laid it out for you.
Laid it out, man. Laid it out. Nice.
So the blood will be upon that man's own head.
Yeah. The blood is gonna be upon your own head, man.
This is the book of 1 Peter 4 and 17. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Most High, and if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of Most High?
So when you come into this thing, you got to take it serious, man, because this isn't a joke. This isn't a thing of, I'm a Hebrew Israelite, I'm going to do it my way, I'm going to have my own vain opinion, and I'm going to gain a little following for myself and gain a little fame. This thing ain't about that. This is the Lord's ministry, and it's deadly serious. It's deadly serious, man, and you have to strive to teach the correct thing. That's why when brothers make mistakes in videos, we make sure that we correct ourselves, man, because you want to be right. You don't want to appear to be right. You don't want to look like you're right. You want to be right. You don't want to teach that which is wrong through the fear of the Lord, because this is the Lord's thing. You're supposed to fear the Father of spirits, man, and take care with his work. A lot of these guys are playing with this thing, man. This ain't no joke. The Lord will do you in and your family. Achan.
Yeah.
Achan got stoned up. Even after he admitted he did wrong. He didn't get out of that alive. The Lord had man stoned up and they buried him right there.
And his family.
And his family.
Yeah.
When that time of judgment comes, there ain't no going back from that. Once the Lord has decided you're going to die now, there ain't no coming back from that. Terrible judgment, and you have to bow down to that judgment. You're getting an opportunity now to repent. You better take it. You better humble yourself. Admit that you were wrong. Don't double down. You know, because that pride will make you double down, man.
That's stubborn and hard-headedness.
Stubborn, man. Stiff-necked.
And it can come overnight as well, because like even in that Turkey and Syria thing, people
Oh,
went to
terrible.
sleep on Sunday thinking, yeah, everything's
I got
bliss.
crushed up.
And the next morning they didn't wake up.
Wake up. No, they might wake up breathing dust.
Yeah.
You wake up breathing dust, because some of them motherfuckers was alive under that rubble.
Yeah. Crazy, man.
Blowing dust, blood.
And that's like one of them big, like 20,000 man dead. Like that's like, it's just,
Whoa, I think that's the worst earthquake that I've in my lifetime, man.
yeah.
The Lord just switched it up on them, man.
Yeah.
This is the book of Proverbs 1 and 23. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Because I have called, and he refused. I have stretched out mine hand, and no man regarded. That ye have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as a desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me.
So you guys can continue your slander and talking shit, but understand one thing: it's between you and the Most High. It ain't got nothing to do with us. When your time comes for your judgment, that's what you're gonna have to go through. We've washed the blood off our hand. Our job is to just warn you and tell you what's right. The apostles and elders, that's all they do. They warn people and tell them what's right. If you think we're gonna lose sleep, go home tonight and lose sleep because they said bad things about me. To be honest with you, I don't give a fuck what you say about me personally. If you were to say, oh, this, that, we've had guys say shit. I don't lose sleep over that shit because you can't bring the final judgment down on me. It's the Lord, Yahweh Shai, that's gonna bring the judgment. So you better do what's right by him and don't worry about man. Because it's gonna get spooky out here, man. It's gonna get real spooky for you dudes, man. And then another thing about this mark of the beast thing, if you're so confident, then you better take 3 of them. Yeah, that's the point we're at now. If you're really confident about that, yeah, then when it comes, take 3 in it. Get an extra 1, 2-for-1 discount on that, man. You know, we ain't gonna care. We tried to tell you, take 3 of them. Yeah.
Forehead in both hands.
Yeah, take 1 in the forehead and the thing, innit?
In both hands, man.
And then come online and let us know about it. And we just gonna be laughing like, look at this fool. Man are gonna be like
Man, looking like he had a
Screwface.
lobotomy.
Him dead and him know it. Alright, any last scriptures and then we'll close up.
Got this 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 8. And now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so did these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith. But they shall proceed no further, for their folly shall be manifest unto all men, as theirs also was. Eventually, you know, your house or cars is all going to come falling down for everyone to see, you know, that you didn't have it right. You know, you're going to be destroyed in your sins if you don't repent. You know, you're going to take the MOTB because you're not afraid of what's going on right now. You're just going to jump at the chance, right? Well, then when your judgment comes, it's going to be for all to see, right? So, you know, you made your bed, you're going to lay in it, man.
See, when they make that MOTB mandatory, it's going to get spooky for you, man. Because even certain men in your congregation are going to be looking sideways at you like, you know what, man?
I don't know what it's
Going to be looking spooky for you guys, man. You morons, man.
Yep. Verse 13 says, but I'm going to jump down to verse 13, right? It says, but evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. The Lord got you blinded, man, and the blind can't lead can't lead, man. Anyone that follows the blind are blind also.
All you man that's capping, that's trying to change up the doctrine to appeal to women, you're fools. And then the worst thing about it is you're just gonna die with them women that you're trying to appeal, and it ain't gonna mean a damn thing to you, man. And you're getting murked up next to your woman. You think it makes you feel better, man? You're gonna just get murked. But the men that ain't capping for the women are gonna get the women and live happily ever after, man. Look at that. All you guys worrying about Great Millstone, we don't need a bag of women around us right now anyway. So we're not really concerned, man. What woman gets upset because I say you can have multiple wives? That's up to you. That's your beef. But you guys are trying to appease the women, appease the sisters, instead of appeasing the wrath of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, man. So you're gonna get what's coming to you, man, because ain't no woman can save you, man. No woman can't save you, and no man can save you, man. So you better teach what's right, and then the Lord will take care of you, man. Simple as that. Anything else? Okay.
It's verse 14. So, but continue doubt in the things which thou hast learnt, right? And let's say we've all come in true, coming under other men that have taught us these, these scriptures, these breakdowns or whatever, man. And part of the faith is the fact that you got to stay on the path. That's the whole point, man. When you're being taught these things, who men you consider to be men of the Lord when you came in, right? So again, akin to if Peter, Paul, the apostles then, was teaching men, because Yahushua was no longer on the scene, was left in the charge of Peter and the apostles. You got it from men, right? None of us are directly being taught by Yahushua, right? We got it from the men the Lord set up, right? And we have to we have to have faith that these men were left with the truth, and that's what they passed on to us, man. But if at some point you stop believing, then guess what? You fell off the path. That's what you have done. That's what all these other guys have done. That have done what you've done. They've all done the same thing, man. They've lost faith. You've demonstrated the lack of faith. So when crunch time comes at MOTB's, like, guess what? Your faith ain't gonna protect you, man. You don't have it. You obviously have shown that you don't have it in the time of crunch. When the crunch time comes, So it ain't gonna protect you in that day. All right. So we continue down the things which thou hast learned and has been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learnt them. You didn't teach yourself.
Yeah, a lot of these dudes, they think that you can learn the truth by picking bits and pieces from this guy and that guy. Remix the thing. It doesn't work like that, man. The Lord is going to have certain men that are set up that are going to give you the whole thing that you need.
And that's how it's prophesied to be set up. That's why the brother read earlier, your teacher should not be in corners anymore. Because men were going to be sent to you to give you the truth.
Yeah, not one man has 10%, the other man has 30%, the other man has, and then you have to try and fix it and put it all together. But that's why some of these men, what they're doing, and then they're trying to then look like they got the truth by putting it together from 20 different men. No, you ain't got it, man. The apostles, and we'll stand on that. The apostles, the elders, they're the men of the Lord, man. The Lord has given them this knowledge and this truth, man. And that's more glory to the Most High, because the Lord said He would do that. Yep. There's order in this thing, and it's as simple as that. Now, if you don't believe that the apostles, the elders, are the men of the Lord, and we're teaching the truth, you know what? That's fine, man. But you're just fucked. Yeah. But everyone ain't meant to get it, and that's as far as it's gonna come down to, man. If you don't see it, and you can't, if this gospel is hid to them which are lost, man. You're lost, man. Simple as that.
Yep. Proverbs 8:36. But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul, and all they that hate me love death.
Yeah, and ultimately, when you're so uncomfortable that you're changing up the scriptures, you really hate the Lord, because you got a problem with what He is outlined in the scriptures. You have a problem, and you have a problem to the degree that you're trying to change the word to fit the problem that you got, man. And the Lord's looking at you like, what are you doing, man? Just do what I told you to do, man, and everything will be okay. And that's the kind of, that even if you feel uncomfortable with something we teach, right? That doesn't mean it's wrong. Just get on with it. In the end, the Lord will sort it out. Certain things you might not be able to digest right now, but the Lord might not be looking for you to digest it right now. It might just be that you need to just accept that that's what's in the scriptures and move on.
Yep.
And that's the best advice I can give you.
Hey, Persons have to do the same
Everyone's
thing.
had to do the same thing. There might be certain things you hear in the scripture, like we go back
Can't
to the
get it.
beginning, that feel uncomfortable because you're coming out of the world and it's uncomfortable to you. You're not used to it. It's like eating locusts, blood. You get me? When I want to eat locusts, bro. I'm not used to it, you know what I'm saying? But I accept that you can eat locusts, and that, I don't try. No one can't force me like, to eat no. If a brother came with some locusts, I eat it, brother.
It's in the-
John the
it's in the
Baptist ate it.
scriptures, yeah.
Look, bro, I'm not comfortable with eating locusts. No, thank you.
If you
And
wanna
that's
eat that, that's
okay.
fine.
And that's okay. You can have that feeling. Like, nah, I don't want to eat no locusts. Right?
Yeah.
There's certain things in the scriptures that you might feel uncomfortable with. Pray to the Most High, and in due time, the Lord will He will renew your spirit and remove that feeling from you. Simple as that. But don't deny that that's what's in the scriptures. Don't deny it. That's all we're asking. Yeah, you might be uncomfortable with the flower of her age, and that's okay for you to be uncomfortable. But don't deny it, man, because that's a sin now. That's what we're saying.
That's lying.
Yeah.
Revelation 22:18. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in the book. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life and out of the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book.
Yep.
You can't add and take away from the scriptures, man. You got to say it as it is, man.
Right. So get your Oh no. Well, the Edomites can be saved, bro. Get your emotions in check. Get your emotions in check. You might be uncomfortable with your Edomite friend John down the road not making it, and that's okay because you know Edomite John. So you might feel a certain way. Let's just keep it real. You might, Edomite John, you and him is cool. So you might feel a way that Edomite John gonna get hit by a missile, and that's okay. But what's not okay is you then trying to
Defend.
change up the scriptures to make it where John can make it. That's not what we're not gonna do. That's what I
He's a good
mean.
Edomite.
You just need to take time to digest, and then over time the spirit will have it where you come to terms with the fact that your Edomite friend John, yeah, he's an Edomite, and
nothing can be done for him.
he's just gonna get done, and that's the will of the Lord, man.
No.
And-
Yeah, but Cornelius, he's an Italian and all this
no,
business.
we're not
because
trying to.
You're
Yeah,
trying to make the scriptures fit your needs, man.
no,
And
man.
it ain't about that.
Hey, your mum could be an Edomite.
That's it.
What the fuck you gonna do?
Man, that is just a realization you have to come to, man. Nothing can be done.
Your
What
mum's
you gonna do? What you gonna do about it? Nothing.
Your mum's
You
an
ain't
Edomite.
gonna do
You're gonna be hurt.
Yeah.
What, you telling me you get a guy and his mom's an Edomite, she done breastfed him, done fucking took care of him his whole life. You find out she's an Edomite, she's gonna get exterminated. What are you meant to do? Start smiling and
Hey,
rejoicing?
hey, and this don't mean as well, man, you gotta treat your mom like shit because she Edomite.
Yeah, bro.
You're going too crazy with the shit,
You're
man.
gonna have to digest
Your
it.
wisdom and liberal understandings and the law if you're gonna act like that, man. You know, oh, she's an Edomite, you got to punch her in the face. You gotta do none of that, man.
Yeah, just-
That's your mom, innit? Just deal with your mom. When the judgment comes, it comes, and there's nothing that can be done about it. It's gonna come, man.
Just digest
Just
it.
accept it. Yeah?
Take
you
the
know?
time to digest it and accept the will of the Most High, even if it makes you feel a certain way. And it's the same thing with these women. If you're a woman and you're listening to us, I don't expect you to feel comfortable hearing certain things. It's gonna be natural. I'd feel something wrong if you don't feel uncomfortable. But that's the thing with the Lord. The Lord's not necessarily looking for you to feel uncomfortable. He's looking for you to humble yourself and
His will,
accept
conform
and
to the
trust that the Lord knows what he's doing. Because when that day comes, that uncomfortability is going to go anyway. The Lord will take that away because your mind will be renewed. But it might not happen straight away. You just got to take time to digest, and the Lord will have more respect on you if you if you feel uncomfortable with what it says, but you're still like, well, that's the will of the Lord. The Lord will have respect onto that. Like, look, man, that person feels uncomfortable, but they still are respecting the fact that that's my word.
You think Abraham, when he was asked to sacrifice Isaac, he didn't feel away about
Of
it?
course, he felt a way about it straight away. Like, oh, but he done it anyway.
He did it anyway. He went to do it, yeah?
Well, yeah, you know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah.
He went to do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
You don't
saying?
think he didn't feel uncomfortable? Of course he did. Come on, man.
Like, he was just like,
Yeah,
that sounds
well,
like a good,
yeah,
the
come
good
on,
idea
man.
right there.
Man was somber, blood. You know what I mean? Man's like, man. Damn.
Bro, that's what the
You know?
Lord's looking for. He's looking for the type of people that, even if you feel
move with faith.
uncomfortable,
Yeah.
like Apostle Tahar said, man, when when Brother Polite confronted him, right, about the whole rape thing, what did he keep saying? It's in the scriptures. He said, well, if it's in the scriptures, and that's the kind of man Apostle Tahar is.
Yep. Defender of the gospel, man. He's defender of the
If
word.
it's in the scriptures, it doesn't matter how I feel about it. It doesn't matter how it makes me feel. If that is what the scriptures say,
That's what it is.
then that's what the scriptures say. God doesn't love everyone. Well, if that's what's in the scriptures, I got to deal with that. Now, you might feel a certain way, like, oh, well, you know, or what, you mean to tell me God hates? Yeah, and you could, okay, but you got to deal with what's in the script. Don't try and change it. Because when you try and change it, now you're committing sin.
Yep.
Having a feeling isn't sin. But when you act on it and do commit a sin, now it's a sin. Okay? Simple as that, man. Anyone else got anything to add to that?
I got this is the book of 1 Peter 2:2. As a newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby. If so be ye have tested that the Lord is gracious.
Right? This word comes into you, that milk, and you grow. And sometimes you got growing pains. Some brothers are gonna struggle with certain things, man, and that's honestly speaking. And if that's you, don't take that as a sign that you need to now. No, just take it as you need to keep praying. You need to keep reading, and as your understanding opens up, and you grow and you renew in the spirit, then you're gonna see things a lot different. Like, for instance, I see a lot of things different than when I first came in the truth. And now you're like so hard on that, whereas before you were like, oh, bro, like that's a bit much. That's a bit hardcore. And now you're just as hardcore, because over time the Lord has shown you things and you've digested it more, and now you understand it. That's why that has to be the way it is. But at first you might not have that understanding. But at the very least, you got to just accept.
Just bear with it, man.
Yeah,
Until
man.
you can come to terms with it. Don't go draw lots in a rash.
Oh man, yeah, that moron.
That was rash thinking. You
Yeah,
know?
but he did the right thing
He
anyway,
did
because the
what he's
Lord
supposed
got
to
rid
do.
of him.
He
yeah.
did what he's supposed to do. You know, he did what he's supposed to do, right? The Lord
Yeah,
got him
man.
out. He wasn't meant to be in it, right?
1 Peter again 5 and 6 and 5. Humble yourself, therefore, under the mighty hand of Most High, that he may exalt you in due time.
Humble, and that's what it goes into being meek, being humble, man. Being willing to suffer, being willing to chastise yourself, man. And like I said, some things that you're gonna hear, they might make you feel like that. All right, but don't start calling yourself an elder and start messing up the breakdown for that cause, man, because that's not gonna run. Now you're gonna have to get cooked, innit? Okay, and that's not a good thing. That's not gonna feel good either. All right, so yeah, with that, man, say Kal Halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Wahara Kal Kadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways teaching this word, and shalom to you brothers and sisters listening and learning and supporting the ministry. Shalom.
Shalom.
This.